Hello, everybody. Welcome to It's a Crime. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Linda, and tonight I have a very special guest on the channel that I'm sure everybody is super excited about. We have Noor Jasmine on the channel. So everybody say hi. Hello, Noor. Welcome.
Hi, I'm waving. Hi.
Hi, welcome. So many people are
Thank
so
you.
excited to have you on. And we actually have been talking for months about coming on, like you coming on, but you didn't know that. We have gone back and forth. So what we're going to do, everybody, is we're going to have a chit chat tonight. Noor, if you haven't seen her, go check her out later I have the description, link in the description below. You can go check out her channel. If you're wondering about her crazy tinfoil hat, she wears it on her channel, and hear me out. And she is quirky. She's fun. She has an excellent true crime channel, and she has covered so much in Lori Vallow. And we're going to talk about that. So I'm not going to talk too much. I'm going to let you talk too, Noor. But I just wanted to introduce her. And she's been doing the channel for about a year. That's correct, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm going to let you just say, just to everybody so they can learn a little bit about you, is what got you started doing the channel and doing true crime?
Okay, so if you look at the beginning of my channel, you'll see that it's totally different than what it is now. It started off just as something fun. Actually, my husband and I had decided to sell everything, get a trailer, go on the road. It was just like this leap of faith. And that's like my first two videos. And then there's like a year gap. And then I picked back up again once I started living in the middle of nowhere, as I like to say. And it was just kind of things that interest me. I am a YouTube power user. I've been that. I'm still that. I just day and night, I'm always watching YouTube. So I decided to make content that I thought was funny. My thing was always being funny. And then randomly, because I am obsessed with true crime and I used to watch Snapped all the time, which freaked my husband out. But then I got into the Lori Vallow case. I got into it much later than you, Linda. You've been doing it for much longer than me. I got into it when Lori got arrested. That's when the case came on my radar, and I was just fascinated, and I was watching video after video, and I had all this information that I had gathered, and I didn't know what to do with it. And then I also was into true crime YouTube because I was following that case. And I thought, well, you know, I haven't found my niche yet. Should I just make a video about this? And I remember the thing that I was asking was, where are the children? That's what everyone was saying. Where are the kids? And at that time they weren't found. So I just decided to do like a timeline because it's such a confusing case. So many moving parts, and it just keeps getting crazier. So I was like, let me do a timeline. Where are the kids? And that ended up being my most popular video at the time. And I got a lot of people and asking me questions and da-da. And then it kind of morphed into its own thing because I was still sprinkling in other things, cooking, whatever. But more and more, I was realizing that this was what people wanted from me. It was what interested me. And so I just kind of went with it. And then, you know, the hat came as like this funny thing when I had come up with this Malachite theory, which we can talk about later. And I was like telling my husband about it. I was like, man, I sound like I should be wearing a tinfoil hat. This is such a conspiracy. And so I went in the kitchen and I made one, and I was laughing, and I was like, I'm going to wear it. And then that became its own thing. And before you know it, I'm the tinfoil girl on YouTube.
And you know what? And that's when I first found out about you. They're like, you're going to have to check out this Noor girl. She wears a tinfoil hat. I was like, what, a tinfoil hat? And I'm going over there. And I just, the research that you put into your videos, I so appreciate, and so many other people do as well. And I can just see that you have the research, you're very smart, and you have some very astute observations. And then you have this little quirk and what do you call it, humor to you. So it's kind of this combo, and it's great. You know, I laugh at some of the stuff that you say. Like, I love you. Okay, you got to say it because you do the conspiracy. Don't sue me. You got to please do it. Please do it.
Is it my conspiracy allegedly don't sue me?
Yeah, I love that. I start laughing. So, you know, and you're like, all right, do a stretch. We're going to reach. And you go, oh, it's great. So we're going to just, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pop into the comments too. Make sure that people, if they're asking questions, and then we're gonna keep going and we're gonna dive into this. So I hope everybody's so excited, because I super am. We're having fun. We have had a lot of fun, and this is Noor's first live stream. Okay, so ever. So just a little. Yeah. I can totally get it, because I was nervous too. I'm still getting nervous, and so we'll just make you really comfortable here, and hopefully you won't.
Thank you. You already are. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, so thank you, Jules. Gave a super sticker, and I'm going to scroll down here because I see a couple things here. Chesney says, "Oh my God, it's my tinfoil queen."
Oh my God, I know Chesney. Chesney, she's my OG supporter.
There you go. Everybody is just so super excited. So we are going to get into what we both know, and it's this Lori Vallow Daybell case. And we honestly could talk all night about this. Wouldn't you agree? We could talk all night, because
absolutely.
It's
just so much.
Yeah, there's so I know. When you just like, everybody's just like, I don't know.
I know. Trying to explain it to somebody is like, where do you even begin?
That's right. I did a video once. It's like, who's who in the zoo? Because we just don't even know. Like, right? It's still, we don't even know what's going on. So let's climb into, let's get into it. So we're going to talk about, let's talk about what bothers you the most in this case. What is something that you're like, just can't get it? It bothers me still to this day, or person, or anything like that. Maybe I shouldn't have come out right at the gate with that. But
no, I mean, look, and I think a lot of people feel this way, and I know hindsight is 2020, so let's put that out as a disclaimer. We know more, but I think when we watch body cam footage of Charles Vallow, like basically pleading repeatedly for help, and it seems like it's like reverse misogyny. I don't even know how to say it, but it's almost like, when you're a man saying that you're afraid of a woman, maybe he wasn't taken as seriously. And I think that could have been part of it, and Lori knew how to use her feminine wiles. And so I think seeing his pleas go unanswered, in a sense, it bothers me, because you wish that they had that sort of gut instinct. But at the same time, again, I go back to this whole hindsight is 2020. Who would think that this woman who's, like supposed to be, a family woman, godly, religious, all these things, you don't think that a woman like her would do something like that. But then again, I'm like, but the police are supposed to see through something like that.
Right.
But then again, hindsight, it's kind of like this loop. But it does bother me a little bit, because I'm like, man, could it have been prevented? Some people think so. And
you know what? You bring in some good points, because the hindsight, like you said, we're looking at the stuff now. And we're going, holy, look at the pattern here, and this and this and this and this and this, and oh my God, and like that. And at the same time, when they're in it, I mean, I could see if Charles maybe did a cry for help once and didn't really, be taken seriously, but it was constant. And with the background with Lori, as you know, I mean, there's all kinds of things going. So I would agree with you too with this Charles. And I did do a series on that, because I was like, okay, let's go back a little bit and then dive in, and then let's go back and dive in. And then you did some great work with Joseph Ryan, and you even did a Zulema video. We can talk a little bit about that. But I would agree with you. It's just, once you start with the hub, I guess, of what happened, we found out about the kids, and then you start rewinding and start seeing just how tangled of a web it is, right? Yeah. It's all kinds of crazy. So, yeah.
And another thing I wanted to mention too, and I just realized that right now, is there's also a jurisdiction issue. So, a lot of the crazy things with Lori Vallow, with her history, child support, and all that whole case, where you start to see that maybe it wasn't Chad that flipped her. She was already there. The police in Utah, maybe they wouldn't know about that, or in Texas, because some of these things happened, in Arizona, because some of these things happened in Texas. So just because we're aware of all these things doesn't mean that the officer in that moment in Arizona knew about what she did in Texas, or, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So a little bit, I think it's fair to mention that, just so that we're not completely being like, how could they let this happen?
Right.
Who could imagine it? Who could imagine such a crazy thing, first of all? And second of all, did they really know everything? Probably not.
Well, when they're first getting on scene on that, right, they would pull Alex's history, I would think. But with Lori, at first they're probably like, here's this wife coming home. The only thing though, I gotta say, and we'll see what you say here on this, is she pulls up, she knows things are going on, and then she's smiling, right? And her
the neighbors. Oh,
right.
My first
right.
week. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I mean, that is a little odd, and we do see in the documents how they're like, okay, this is really bizarre. Like, this is straight up. I think that's what it was, right? Straight up bizarre. I think.
Yes, and the officer who was driving them for questioning, he had Alex, Tylee, and Lori in the back seat, and he said it was the most bizarre car ride ever. He said something like, "You thought we recovered their stolen car. They were so happy," rather than a murder. And also, there's an inconsistency that I don't think they caught, where Alex had said something about where she left. And then when she came back, she had a different story about dropping JJ off. And that was an inconsistency. And then, as you said, they should have seen that, he attacked an ex-husband of hers as well in the past. Was he even allowed to have a gun? So yeah, some people I get a lot of comments. People say, like, this is sloppy police work. How could they let this happen? Da, da, da. And I get that frustration, but as well, I think sometimes knowing what we know, we see it differently. But I think in that moment, nobody could have imagined not only that thing, but what was to come, right? Because the worst hadn't yet happened, right? Who would think she would do that to her children? You know what I mean? So it's just we're looking at it with a different lens.
Oh, for sure. Because, I mean, when you're in there too, even the officer, anybody, even the neighbors be like, who knew that there was dead husband number 3, number 4, and who knows, it could have been number 5, right?
Right. I think about that too.
Still early.
Mm-hmm.
It's still early.
And so, right.
Well, one of the things, it was funny because you were talking about the recovered, how bizarre, straight up bizarre it was that he said, the officer said, and he said straight up bizarre, like you would recover a stolen vehicle. In my video, I was like, well, really, they did recover a stolen vehicle because Lori stole Charles's vehicle, right? And I mean, there was shenanigans everywhere with that. And so I think we're starting to see, we've seen a pattern. I did dive a little bit into William, the husband number 2, Colby's dad. I didn't do a video on him yet, but I did dive a little bit and I saw the difference. There's a difference with husband number 2 compared to 3, 4, 5. And you'll see a switch. If you dive in a little bit and see William and what happened and what transpired with Lori and William, it was more like William did, according to Lori, but William did quite a few of these things. And Lori was almost like, okay, I'll come back. And it's very, very different, I would say, in how she acted. It was like she took a page out of his book, not saying that he's like that, but according to Lori,
I understand.
Right? According to Lori.
Yeah.
And then it all of a sudden is like, okay, from 3 on, it's lie, manipulate, lie. That's what I said.
Yeah. And I also briefly looked into him. There are some court documents. And what I noticed was a pattern with Lori of accusing these people, and of course, it could be true. It could not be true. Just because she did horrible things doesn't mean bad things could not have happened to her. Right. So that's something to consider. But it is this pattern of I don't know if these are things happening to her, or if she's fabricating it to look like the victim, but she did also claim in a similar way that she did with Joseph Ryan that he sort of put hands on her and assaulted her in some type of way and went to the courts and did that. So, I mean, it could be, as you said, that he sort of changed her, or maybe she noticed it, but I really do think that there's I could be wrong about this. Again, my conspiracy, allegedly, don't sue me, but I do think that that she may have learned this sort of the compulsive line, the using the law, the manipulation from a young age, from maybe even her parents. And I'm looking into something like that. I don't know this for sure, but it's just this gut feeling. It started way young, because you have to think how she could get her brother to do all these things for her. It had to be something going on in their childhood. It has to be something with the way they both think about the law and about making, doing it yourself, kind of like vigilante justice type of thing, as well as manipulation. I don't know. I think it goes way back to even before William LaGoya.
Oh, yes, absolutely. 100% agree with you. 100%. I think the shift in the behavior towards a significant other is where I saw the shift in the description. So once you read it, you'll be like, okay, I see that, because it's almost opposite. And then it's almost after that point, or, once she met Joseph and was with Joseph, it was all these kind of shenanigans that come up, very vindictive, very spiteful, very, she just plays games. There's just a ton of games, even though Melanie Pawlowski's like, no, she doesn't play any games. But
no drama. Yeah, I remember there's a clip of her being like, Lori doesn't love drama. And I almost like sprained my eye. I rolled it so hard. I was like, are you serious, Lori? No drama?
That's what I say. Like, my eyes roll back so far out of my head, I can see see another state. Right? Like, it's ridiculous. So, and
Melissa, sorry to cut you. Sorry. I know. I'm just recognizing certain names, so I'm just.
Yes, that's good. No, call her out. That's good. Thank you, Melissa. We also have another one. Missing person says, two such intelligent, beautiful women reach and get into it.
Info snacks. I love your info snacks.
Oh, this is awesome. Okay, so we're going to take a couple of things here that people are saying as well. Betty says, yes, hindsight is 2020. Exactly. Can't blame the police. Lori looked so normal, and Tylee and Lori's girlfriends backed her up. We saw that too, right? We've heard a lot of people say she's family oriented. She's, religious. She's a good mom up until 2018 when she started to change. But then we see the documents and we see kind of the background and what kind of goes on behind the scenes as well. So, what goes on closed doors, right, is very different too than what a lot of people show. So,
yeah. And also, I think some people don't look beyond the surface, and other people do. So when you're looking at court documents and she's making accusations, and then experts are brought in whose job it is to be able to see through and to recognize that a lot of times these accusations come up in custody battles, especially when they haven't been made before. And if this is the only person who witnessed them, there's certain red flags they're trained to know to go for, versus I think with police, there are different red flags they're trained to go for. I don't think they're trained for this type of level of manipulation and the way she is, and also the community and the religion. I think that she definitely did have people vouching for her. She had the image. She knew how to act. Although I do feel like if you watch that body cam footage when she's in the police station, when Tylee's telling her to shush, she did slip through the cracks. Like, she can't contain it 100%. But it did seem like they didn't catch on that was weird. They just kind of were they were telling her how to avoid or ignore the psych eval, like telling her not to answer the door, or telling her, so it's interesting. I mean, it's hard for me to make a judgment because, as we said, again, we go back to the hindsight being 2020, but there are things watching that footage on its own that are red flags.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Even seeing that, like, that's the thing I also saw, is that shushing, right? Okay, like, that's enough. We're done. Like, just Tylee, 16 years old, managing her mom, and probably had for quite some time because,
absolutely.
Right. And so we see that. And I believe in that footage, that would have been last January, right? It was last January, I think it was. And I think one of the officers that was writing the report, he was new too, because I believe I remember him talking just being new. And
he said he was new. Yes.
Yeah,
When he was talking to Tylee, because Lori, again with the manipulation, she's like, Tylee's thinking about joining the police force. Tylee's thinking, she's so good at it, and it's very sophisticated. If you're not the type of person that looks through that and sees through stuff like that, you would fall for it hook, line, and sinker.
right.
You wouldn't even think about it, especially because how rare it is for the woman to be the one doing all that stuff. There is that sort of stereotypes, you could say, of what a perpetrator looks like.
Right. And I think too, oftentimes just in sheer numbers, just in the law of averages, how many times is it that a woman is, doing that to the husband or whatever? They probably get more. I'm just saying that in general, they're probably like more the guy's coming here, or she's coming saying the guy is. So it could be, it's kind of like my husband's a paramedic, right? And we talk about compassion fatigue, where it's just like, well, here's another one, blah, 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 right? And so you never know what they're thinking. I don't know if that is or not, but they could be sitting there, we're like, well, okay, I got this peg, this one here, without even listening to it, I already know what's going on, right? Husband, you're saying that, doesn't matter what you do, because we know this guy's probably a jerk. It could be. Yeah. It could be.
And there's a desensitization for sure. Absolutely. I totally do agree with that assessment.
Yeah. So Kathy says, love you too, made my day today. That's awesome. I've seen some people like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to sleep tonight. I don't care if I have to go into work tomorrow.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Okay,
I can't believe it.
Through here, you guys. This is awesome. Okay, here we go. It takes me a minute. I need a little help.
You're doing amazing. I don't know how you do it. I have no idea of what you're doing. I'm like, this is like.
I'm just rolling with the flow, whatever I need to do. Thank you, Gina Marie. Okay.
Gina Marie. Hi, Gina Marie. I recognize that.
Oh, good. And Michelle says, my two favorite true crime ladies. Thank you so much for all you do too. You truly make a difference. Awesome. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you so much.
So let's talk about a little bit of Melanie Pawlowski, because we did touch a little bit. Her name came up. Okay. And I want to know, I'm not going to say anything yet. I want to know your thoughts on Melanie Pawlowski. Give me maybe some opinions, or, just your thoughts on in general, or what you see.
Okay.
What do you think?
So with Melanie Pawlowski, definitely, her mother passed away when she was young. Actually, it was Lori who notified her that her mother was dying and told her that. And Melanie herself has said that Lori is like a second mother to her. And then, and it's not, to me, this is, again, my conspiracy, allegedly, don't sue me, but it's more, it kind of could be a mother-daughter relationship, but it's more close as a friendship. And I also, like, Melanie Pawlowski had a blog. She had different blogs. She had a running blog, a photography blog, and in one of those, I think it was called Dimples and Daisies or something along those lines. I could be wrong, but she had taken pictures of Lori, like photo shoot of Lori. You can find them if you Google it too. And the way that Lori's posing in those pictures, to the average person, American, whatever, Canadian, whatever, West, they wouldn't think that they're that way, like any type of very overtly sexual, let's say. But I think, and I could be wrong, but in the context of Mormonism, I would think those photographs are quite revealing. And knowing that both of those women were raised in that sort of thing, that tradition or religion, which is very conservative. And then for them to do these photographs together on the side, my immediate gut reaction when I saw that was, okay, I feel like, let's say you're in like a Catholic school and you and your friend are like the rebellious one, but you put on the show, but like you sneak off and you do things you're not supposed to do.
Right.
That's the vibe I got from their relationship, is that they kind of did things they weren't supposed to do because they were fun and they liked them and they were honest with each other about these things. And I think that, that being the case so early on before any of this happened, and then now you see her basically following in Lori's footsteps. You know, Lori doesn't have the kids with her. Melanie all of a sudden doesn't have the kids with her. You know, Lori goes here, you know, Melanie goes here. Even when she talks about Charles Vallow, she's repeating the negative things about Joseph Ryan, the same thing. Then she brings Brandon into it, lumps them together. Definitely, I believe that she was a mini Lori. I think I even said that in one of my videos, a mini me of Lori. For sure. And the way she defended her like in things that I don't think she even knew, but she was so loyal, almost to a fault. And I still haven't made up my mind about how much Melanie knew. I don't know. My gut tells me she knew something was off, but she turned a blind eye because it was her aunt. I just can't imagine that many people being okay with doing that to children. I just can't. I mean, I can see her and Alex, but even Chad, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. I feel like some things we could think are a stretch, but are they really for this bunch? Right. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that.
How shocked you are, right?
Right. Absolutely.
And I agree with Melanie because I think I called her that too. I think I said like a mini me.
Yeah.
I think she looks up to her. You know, I'm okay. I don't know. There's an echo already all of a sudden, but she looks up to her, and they're just like you said, things that Lori would say. Melanie's repeating them. Well, you know, Brandon had these on his computer. So did Charles. So did Joseph. So did. Right. So I think she did go. But that also concerns me because I think there's a level that she knew more than what she said. There's a ton of inconsistencies in her interviews, but I don't know at what degree. Let me ask you this, because this actually came to mind. And then I want to talk about that photo shoot for a sec.
Okay.
She talked about the apartment next door to her. So she got the apartment in Rexburg, and she talked about the apartment next door. But she said sometimes Alex would go there and sometimes Lori would go there. So it's like, wait a minute. How do you not know who lives there? How do you not know who lives there? Well, sometimes Lori would go there and sometimes Alex would go there.
I think it's because, again, my conspiracy allegedly, but I think it's because she knew they lived together, and that's kind of weird. And so she might be making an excuse for why certain things, because like, remember how in the affidavit, it said that in Chad Daybell's affidavit, probable cause, it said that Alex was in the other apartment.
Yes.
And then, right. But then in the trial, the hearing, it said that that was actually vacant. The one that we thought Alex Cox was in was actually vacant, and his items were in Lori's apartment. So that tells us that physically Alex Cox was living with Lori. Even in that body cam footage where we only heard the audio, when he goes to Lori, she says, my other brother's here, he's my protector, but the other one's trying to kill me, remember? So my thing is, you know, they were living together. Lori and Alex were living together, much like they lived together back in Santan Valley when Lori went missing for that 58 days. They were living together. So I can't imagine Melanie wouldn't know that they were living together when she was literally right next door and very close to them. And she claims her uncle Alex was her best friend, and they're talking all the time. So how do you not know? I don't know. The whole Alex and Lori relationship, I go back and forth with that so much about what exactly is going on there. I mean, it's just weird.
Well, and
you know what I mean?
Beginning of Rexburg, he follows suit and goes down there. He did not tell his current place in Arizona that he was moving.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because he ended up going, they took him to court. They took him to court. Yeah. So
I know this.
So basically they moved together end of August, right? And another weird thing, and I'm pretty sure you're going to agree about this because of what you said about the ring, how cheap it was. She chooses the ugly, I shouldn't say ugly apartment. It's not ugly. She chooses the lesser apartment. Apartment 107 had the upgraded countertops, upgraded flooring, upgraded bathroom, fancy schmancy. and she is known to be having her fancy schmancy, right? But she chooses the lesser apartment, her townhome. It's weird. Why?
Yeah.
And so the first week they said that Alex lived with Lori, and I was like, well, how do you say you live with Lori if it was only a week, 7 days, and you lived with Lori? Like, that's not living. That's like just staying for a week, right? And then apartment 107 came up. So when Melanie's like, well, yeah, sometimes Lori comes over and sometimes Alex comes over, and you're like, well, wait a minute, how do you not know who lives next door? And it's your family. How do you not know?
Right.
It's like,
Lori's,
I'm going to Lori's
house. A lot.
She does.
Yeah, she does that a lot. Like whenever you look at her interviews, like you said earlier, the inconsistencies and also it's like babbling. She go on these like tangents that don't make any sense. And even the way she grips her hand, she'll be in the same position, gripping her hand like this. You can tell she's like nervous and she's trying to keep her story straight, and she's going off on a tangent because she knows it doesn't sound right. So she's trying to like confuse you. So yes, based off of that alone, I do believe that she knows more than she's letting on. How much more? I can't figure that out. Right?
Now, did you know that she went to Hawaii in October?
I heard about that. I heard that she went, but I wasn't sure.
That was in the documents, but I don't know the date. So I'm wondering, did she go to Lori and Chad's wedding, or was that, you know?
Yeah. And also, she was also at something else. So remember when Lori had disappeared and she was living with Alex? Even Melanie Gibb mentioned that. Melanie Pawlowski was there too. She was visiting. She was there all the time. Brandon Boudreau is the one who said that, is that during that time, because I had cross-referenced it in a post where he said it's around this time that she had started spending time with her aunt's cult and started trying to, do everything different. She was acting different around that time. And if you look at the time Brandon's talking about, it's the exact time that Lori goes missing and is over there with Alex. So again, it's those three living next to each other, plotting, scheming, planning, doing God knows what, right? So I don't put it past her. Not even a little bit.
No, that's what I especially because she's a copycat, so to speak. Like she does in a lot of ways. So, and we know that they were having discussions, right, about their religion and whatnot. She even said, we gather around, we talk with each other, and Zulema, Alex, Lori, Chad, they all talk in a group. So how she didn't know a lot of these things is, I don't know. And to me, your cousins are gone in September, okay, because she's not there yet, right? But she moves there in November, and still no question about like where your cousins are. Where's your cousins? And and then of course she doesn't see her children and that whole mess. Did you know? I'm sure you followed it. That she just had and so she's able to, she's able to see her kids again.
I mean, I don't know if it's because she gave birth and she has a child. Also, I don't know how difficult it might be for Brandon. I mean, I don't know, this is totally like my thing, but to go from sharing custody or something to all of a sudden having full custody, it could be that maybe he wanted some help as well. Maybe they think she didn't know what was going on. I'm not quite sure how they came to that decision, because it does feel like, are you serious? I know a lot of people were, how could you, give her the kids? But she's not technically, convicted of anything or even charged with anything. I mean, as we all know, the charges are so low. We're all frustrated with that. There's not even a murder charge yet. So right? So getting Melanie when they haven't even fully gotten Lori, I mean, and their resources are spread thin. Keep in mind, it's a small town. They don't really have much.
And maybe too, maybe because Melanie's not around the influences of Lori because she's in jail, perhaps that played a role in it. Okay, now you're away from that. So, you know, it's a different life. I mean, all kinds of things, right? But I think thankfully he's not around them.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think also, you know, when you were talking about the religion and how Melanie was involved, you know, she knew a lot of what they were talking about. That's why when she had that interview with Nate Eaton and he kept pressing her like, okay, what are you guys talking about if you're not talking about the children? Like, how are you there for that long and you're not seeing the kids?
Yeah.
That's odd. Very strange. You're a mother, she's a mother. I mean, it's odd. You know, same thing with the whole, like there's a part in that interview where he asks her, you know, because Nate Eaton is Mormon. So he tells her, you know, we as Mormons, we're a little sensitive to the whole cult thing. And do you feel like your beliefs are mainstream or are they kind of veering off the mainstream with the Mormon faith? And the lawyer kind of stops it. And then the camera goes mute, remember? Yeah. And then they kind of, you know, figure out what they're going to say. She comes back and she goes, you know, our beliefs are nothing different than the Mormon faith, you know, and if I didn't believe it at all. So she definitely, though, you know, like, I don't know how much they believed in Chad. She said something about Chad that it seemed like she still did idolize him a little bit. I feel like they were all kind of down the rabbit hole with the crazy beliefs.
I think once that started, the ball got rolling, the groups started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And with Melanie, I think it's all in the wording. I think it's all in the wording, because if you say, were you in a cult? She's going to say no. She's going to say no, because she doesn't see it like a cult, right? But if you were like, well, do you gather together and talk about things that you wouldn't really talk about in anywhere else? Because we heard that from Melanie Gibb. Melanie Gibb's like, oh yeah, the things they're talking about, you keep that on the down low. Like, you do not talk about that around a bunch of people. Well, there we go. And that brings me into that whole secret society, all these things.
Oh yes, your video on that is amazing. Yes, the whole secret combinations, for sure. There's something nefarious going on.
100%. You keep reading about it, it keeps matching it up, and you're like, how is this not? How is this not? Right. One of the things I want to go back, two things. First, Ian, in that interview with Nate Eaton, it was like, no, let's see what Ian has to say about that. Let's see what Ian says, because he's just kind of sitting there.
He's going through it. He's going through it. Everyone is like, run, Ian, run, and never look back. You could tell that what she's saying was not the truth because of his reaction to what she's saying. You know, whenever someone's being questioned and there's someone next to them, you can gather a lot more about whether what they're saying is true than looking at the person next to them, because they don't have any way to release that energy. And so they're going to have little tics and things because they're reacting. And looking at him, clearly the girl is saying stuff he's never even heard of. Right. And he's kind of thinking, and he's over there like, at least that's how I see it. I could be wrong. But, you know, kind of like, what is she going on about type of thing, and freaking him out. But he's in too deep at this point. Well, I feel bad for the guy.
One of the points was she was talking about the wedding, and she's like, yeah, you know, theirs was more planned than ours was. And we just so happen that they're going to be the witness to it. Well, when you look at Ian, he like goes from looking at her. So she's sitting to his right. And like, he first is looking at her eyes, right? Talking. And then you could just see him kind of go off into the distance, like blank stare her beyond. And so, so he's probably like, what is she even going on about first? Yeah, exactly. Like,
I saw that. I was like, go to the light, Carol Ann. Go to the light. Like, this is your chance. Because I mean, the ship is sinking. You know, jump. You know what I mean?
Run, Ian,
run, Ian, run. But when you look at his statement, Linda, and what he knew, and the fact that he's still there, that's kind of weird too.
It is. I don't know what his real situation is when, like, he's really in it, right? But I do know. Well, I mean, let's talk about this. They got married in 9 days.
So weird.
Like in 9 days, and we don't even know.
On a dating website.
Yeah, on a dating website. So we don't even know if that was 9 days in total from when they met on the website or from the first. It was like 9 or 10 days, right? So I mean, and like, let's just do it. We figured that out on Thanksgiving, and well, where are we at? Yeah, I mean, it's been a couple days now that since the 26th was when the welfare check was, and we're at the 29th. Yeah. So their anniversary. I think today's their anniversary, and what would have been either today or tomorrow would be one of the two, because they had Alex, and then they also had Melanie. I mean,
and you know, when I listen to that about their wedding, to me, it seems like somebody told Melanie, you need to get married, and you need to get married now, because her and Alex immediately get married. And if you listen to Ian tell the story, there are little clues in there that tell me, at least, that Melanie wanted it, because she first, she's initiating it. And then my understanding, and I could be totally wrong, with the Mormon religion is, it's okay to get married quickly. Like you should be married, especially if you're like in a romantic thing. So a rush marriage from her end, considering the context, may not be that weird, but he's Mormon too. And she initiated it. So like she said, I have no one to go to Thanksgiving with. So that's almost like asking for an invite. If someone tells you that, you kind of feel like you have to say, well, come over, right? Yeah. You kind of have to say, right? I mean, come on. And you're just starting, and it's like, they just started dating. So she's inserting herself and making herself there and available and wanting this wedding right when the questioning is happening. So to me, I feel like Melanie kind of made it happen really quickly. You know what I mean? And him being the man felt like he had to make that first step if she's, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, she keeps talking about how much she loves turkey. I'm going to have to invite her to turkey dinner. Right. But I love the gravy, like whatever, right? But what's interesting,
turkey's my favorite meat.
Right? If she starts thinking, or if we start thinking back to the timeline, she just moved. So October 31st, Alex is in Arizona, loading up her stuff with her to take down to Rexburg. They take it to Rexburg. So she moves the first week of November. No children, just her, right? Funny though, in one of her things, a discrepancy again, she says, well, I think it was the second week in November, I think, is when I moved. And then I do not remember when you moved. November 1st is your lease. You moved down Halloween night that you loaded your truck. Like, come on. And that's number one. Number two, November 1st, let's say it took a couple days to get to Rexburg. Okay, so 2nd, 3rd, you're going in there. Well, they got married 28th or 29th or 30th. One of you guys might know, in and around there. Well, if you back up 10 days, that's the 19th of November. So you've been living in Rexburg all of 14, 16 days. You get on an app, you date him, and now you're married all in the same month. Children, he didn't even meet his children. He had met the children yet, right? She met his, but he didn't meet hers. I mean, everybody finds it suspicious, but it's just really interesting about how, I mean, it's just amazing how we just got together and we just feel like it's really right. And just lo and behold, my uncle's getting married at the same spot, same time, and just decided to be a witness to us. And, 3 days after, cops came to my aunt's door, or Alex's, I'm not too sure. And so we look at these, and it's
they changed their names. They changed their last names, both of them, which is not common for a man to do. Right. And they both changed their names. They both move out of a different location than where they were at. To me, it seems like they were trying to go into hiding, and the spouses were just a cover. Also, they were gathering the 144,000. And I think that no matter who you are, Ian, Melanie, Zulema, whoever, there's an element of flattery. There's an element of ego that when somebody tells you are chosen, you're one of the 144,000, usher in the second coming, all this stuff. Some people would eat it up and be like, am I, or even if they didn't believe it, it feels good. That's the whole thing with cults, is you're special, you're special, come here type of thing.
And Melanie talked about that. She said, at first I couldn't believe it. And then I thought, well, maybe, that kind of thing. And they even said, Lori's quite the recruiter. And they said it. She's quite the recruiter. And she even talked about how she got people from Hawaii, some women to convert or some sort of thing like that. And they were talking about that. Now, one of the questions I had for you, because this is interesting, she was there to gather the 144,000, right? Do you think with all this media coverage, do you think she's thinking in her mind, like, yes, this is bringing more coverage, which means more gathering, more people? Yes.
Linda, yes. And it's in my comments. I had a few people that I feel kind of were like, well, you know, everything that Lori said and Chad said is true, like the pandemic, then there was an earthquake in Utah. There was this and that. And I felt like, oh my God. I remember at one point telling my husband, like, am I helping her by doing this? Because I just had someone leave me a comment and they were like, well, you know, they said there was going to be an earthquake in Utah. There was. They said it's the end of the world. Now, look, it's a pandemic. Everything is shutting down. You know, the economy is collapsing, yada, yada. Even that website, Avow, another voice of warning.
You got to talk about that in a minute, yeah.
I might be fast forwarding a little bit, so tell me to
no,
pump the brakes.
You want to talk about it now, you do.
Connect.
Yeah.
It just because I still get emails from that website, and they are definitely using what's happening now, you know, globally with this pandemic and the economy as a sign, as proof that the second coming is imminent, if not already happening. And so, yeah, I totally think that not only does she think it's a recruiting tool, but for a select few, it is.
Yes. It is. There was a case, and I don't remember what it was called, but it was a guy who had involved children, and he was of the same, well, left field. Let's just put this out. It's not the Mormon religion. It's like so left field where they're
it's just fringe.
Yeah, but they were talking about how, because he was marrying these children and all this stuff, but they were actually happy with the media attention or the attention surrounding it, because that helped them recruit people. It helped. And
sorry.
No. That's what it is. Like I figured, I wonder, and that's probably half where her smirk is coming, is like, I got 140,000 coming, you know, and recruiting more people.
Look, I get a vibe from her because when you look at Chad Daybell, he looks a lot more like afraid, worried, for even in the phone call. Like even when you look at, there's a picture of them before the kids were found when they were getting like followed by the media and stuff. And there's one picture, you see it a lot, and it's Chad looking down and kind of going like that. And Lori's chin is up and she's defiant. There's certain, even the way she was walking in that courtroom, like she's walking, it's very much, yes. It's like when you know you're wrong and you're embarrassed or something, but you don't want it to show. You're like, you're going to be defiant. You're not going to allow them to see you like that. I feel like Lori has a raging ego, and this is
100%.
That is either helping or hurting it. I don't know.
You know what? I think that's why some of the things that has been done or that she's chosen at the end in November, I was like, what is going on? Why are you choosing something like that? That's not you. What's going on? What are you doing? And, you know, so because she's having this pattern and she has, you know, she likes the finer things. There's nothing wrong with liking these things. However, there's just some weird things, and now children are dead, and you have, you know, ex-husbands that are dying and all this stuff. One of the things that we were talking about pictures, and I don't want to forget about this because it's important. Or I think it's important. Did you see of her and Chad in Hawaii in her wedding, at her wedding? But I cannot find it anymore. It's like,
is it the one where he's like on his knees or something?
No, she's like doing this.
Yeah.
Like that. Like, did you see this? Do you see that picture?
No. Okay. No. My eyes would burn. I need to see it though.
You guys are on and you have seen this picture. Okay. I'm going to do it again. It's like Lori, and she's going like this to Chad, like guns. And it's just like, what is going on? But I cannot find it anymore. And I feel like I saw it before with on Justin Lum or something like that. Tons and tons of pictures. Okay. Now I can't find it, but it's important because also I was reviewing some of your videos today, and I have seen Noor's videos too. So, but today I wanted to climb in. I'm like, let's climb in and let's get into it. And there was something that came up about Joseph Ryan so when she was in the salon, and she said that he did something or an action with the gun. And I was like, oh, and that brought up the photo. I was like, okay, I'm going to write this down and ask you, because we got to find this thing. This is this picture, when you look at it, you're like, you're at your wedding, and what is this symbol? Like, are you telling him like this is what happened?
Especially knowing everything, it has a sinister meaning now. It's like a whole different thing.
A private joke, kind of like the raccoon, you know, it was
knowing that they both knew what they did, right? It is so weird.
Okay, people are
somebody remembers.
They're remembering. Yeah, they're like, some people are remembering this pic. They love the impression of it. You know, like yeah, like she was just like, you know, it was just like,
so
you are you're at your wedding. Well, now we know, you know, but there, and you're like, still a weird picture. I mean, I got married. I was married on a beach, and I sure as heck isn't like, you know, like, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, like, oh my God, no. Yeah. Right? That's what I will always think, though. Do you think that Chad, if she was left, you know, uncaught, or if nobody suspected her of anything, do you think Chad would have been next with her and Alex, or do you think he was in on it? Or
here's what I think. I think she met her match with Chad. Okay, I think they had the evilness. They fed off each other's ego, and they just boosted each other. Okay, but I think the moment he ticked her off or didn't do something that she wanted and how it was, it's like, no. Yeah. Made you some tea, honey. Made you some tea.
Right? You got a call? And that's, I want to ask you a question, if that's okay. I know it's not my channel. But, I want to know, what do you think about Alex Cox passing? Do you think there's something suspicious there, or do you think he just died of a guilty heart, or what do you think?
You know what? When I first saw I did a video on this when I first got it, and it was like, okay, so maybe it might have been, right? Maybe it might have been natural, right? But then you're going, let's listen to Tammy and what happened with Tammy. And I cannot wait. I know you feel the same. I cannot wait till we get Tammy's results, because this is going to say a bunch. And I think there's something. I feel like, in my opinion, that there's something that's there. Otherwise, I think they already would have been like, nothing there.
Nothing, like how they did Alex.
Or they're trying to get under, maybe Chad's skin a little bit. Just be like, no, just keep it quiet and see what happens. But I feel like the first one is like, they may have found something, and I know it takes time, because they're saying like this thing takes a long time, especially because they exhumed her 2 months after, and it takes a lot, sampling and all this. There's the toxicology, but they did say it takes a long time. So on one hand, they said it's up to a year, which it would be in December 11th, the day before Alex died. Coincidentally, I believe in coincidence.
Right, and that's the other thing, the timing of it. It's the timing of it that's so suspicious. Also, the fact that, right after Melanie Gibb tells Lori in that phone call, where Lori was suspecting that it was recorded for the police, she lets it slip that, Alex said, you don't want to know what happened to the kids. And so, boom, there's your motive right there. Oh, he's a liability. He's talking. Got to get rid of him, But my fear with Tammy's autopsy is that because it was exhumed, 2 months later, I wonder if they even have anything to work with. You know what I mean? Like, that's my fear. I don't know.
From my understanding, there would be there would
tissue
be tissue.
Yeah, there might be tissue.
Yeah, I don't know at what state. I think that depends on all kinds of factors. I'm not an expert at all in that, but I do understand that they can get a bit from that, but it's going to take a long time. And they have to know what they look for too. You have to know what you're testing for. And so I want to bring this. People are like, ask Noor about the malachite. So speak a little bit about that, and then I love your tree.
My little toilet paper ornament. Sorry, this is my Charlie Brown. If people find it annoying, they can tell me and I can get it out the way.
Yeah,
but
it's okay. We're
toilet
good.
paper ornament 2020, right? Am I right?
That's awesome. That's hilarious. I love it. Okay, I love it. Okay, so let's talk about malachite.
Yeah, so giving credit where credit is due. The first time I ever heard about the possibility of a malachite was from another channel called Left Undone.
Okay.
And I'm sure you guys know about it. It's such a significant channel. And I think the video said something like the poison ring, something like, I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure that's what it said. And she didn't say what I said, but I remember learning from that video that malachite is actually toxic, and that you, as a jeweler, you would have to take all these precautions because inhaling it, the dust and the particles, that's what I took from her video. So I remember thinking about that and going, you know, like you said, Lori likes the finer things. A $38 ring from Amazon, although for many people it's fine, there's nothing wrong with that, but I mean, for her, it just doesn't seem like, it's a little bit odd. Then I went and searched, like, you know, what would malachite poisoning look like? And if you look at the first pictures, it's like they turn almost, you know, turquoise. They look almost like this blue color. It's very evident. So at first I was like, maybe not. But that was like, when I look further, that was a severe amount of malachite. You don't necessarily need that much. Right. Then also, that's when I discovered this malachite solution that's in aquarium. And the reason why I even searched malachite solution, aquarium product, sorry. And the reason why I searched aquarium solution in the first place, or malachite, is because Ian Pawlowski's statement. If you look at that section in his statement, he says that they have a healing malachite solution / balm. And if you know about malachite, there's no reason to have a malachite solution / balm because it's toxic. What are you using it for? Are you applying it on your skin? Well, then I thought maybe in small doses, maybe. Then in doing my research, I found this like case study talking about a little girl who had accidentally ingested this aquarium malachite solution. And that, you know, the certain symptoms that she had, the foaming of the mouth, the heart, I started searching those symptoms and looking at his autopsy, and they seem to be some connections. Now, keep in mind, I am not a medical expert. You know, I went to school for political science and history, okay? Not science or math at all. That's not my wheelhouse. So I could totally be missing something. That's why I wear the hat and I joke and I say that I'm reaching, because I'm well aware of how ridiculous this sounds. But, you know,
this is Lori Vallow Daybell. It could be anything. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Right. So then I thought, well, let me just put it out there. You know, that's when I said, like, you've got the solution, you've got the symptoms that match, you've got the fact that they are on paper having made this exact solution. It's not like we're pulling it out of thin air. So you've got the ring, the solution, the fact that it is considered a healing solution, coupled with the fact that they believe that a zombie is actually somebody who needs healing by killing them because they're possessed, and you've got to help them get to the other side so that they're not in this limbo, you know, purgatory type thing. So could they have somehow convinced themselves that they're actually healing them by killing them? I believe they could have. That doesn't seem like a stretch for them.
I do believe that, because in their mind, they even said Charles is not Charles anymore. Somebody took over him. It's not him. So I think in their mind, well, it's not him anymore. So it's really not him. I'm not killing him. I'm killing the zombie.
Yes.
Same with Tylee.
Like Jake. And yes, like Tylee. Yes. And she was building that when she was talking to Melanie, and because Tylee didn't want to babysit, now she's a zombie. You know, it goes to show you what you said earlier, which is if somebody pisses Lori off, they're on her list. That's it. You got to go. So Tylee maybe, and you know, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead and I'll go. It's okay. You go.
I was just going to say that, you know, when we see that footage of Tylee telling her to shush, and we see that Tylee might have told her mother, like, I can totally picture a scenario where she's like, you know, my father's dead, you know, Joseph Ryan. Then, you know, right in front of her, she potentially could have seen them kill Charles Vallow, her only left, like, father figure that she has left. And now she's basically fatherless. All she has is Lori and Alex. And now they're over here in Idaho. And she probably heard that Tammy passed too. She might have heard that her uncle Alex passed too. Well, actually, no, that's not true, because that happened before.
Yeah.
That's not true. I'm getting it wrong. But the point I'm saying is I could see her confronting her mom about that. About Charles.
She's feisty. Yeah. And I could see that too. She's like, listen, my dad, my stepdad, now we're moving into Rexburg and didn't want to come, but I'm coming because JJ, right? So like, and now I'm no friends, no anything, no support, no nothing. I'm by myself. And boom, a week later, she's like, yeah, she was annoying. She's a zombie, so she has to go.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
for sure.
I don't think she and Chad would get along, in my opinion. I think that she'd be like, who is this guy? Like, even though she met him before, I believe, because he was coming around before. But I think I just don't see her. Yes, I could be wrong, but I just think she's feisty. She sees through some BS. Keeps quiet in a lot, but I think she opens her mouth a lot too. She's just feisty. She's feisty. She speaks her mind, and at the same time, she had to know when to be quiet because she had the manipulations of her mother. And one of the things, just going back to what we were saying about being vindictive, you can easily see now when you start going to the rubric and the zombie chart, right, or the dark light rubric, you can start to see, oh yeah, no, Lori didn't get along with this person. Oh yeah, dark. Oh no, Lori didn't dark. And even Colby's wife. Even Colby's wife was rated dark. And I know that because she was like, well, they're not even that new the new recording, right? Oh, well, you know, they're in a different religion. And I'm just asking, you know, to guide me in what to do. And he knows me, like, well, how was it? Like, the Lord knows me,
my
like,
heart or something.
I can't remember. Like, I know him or something like that. Just let him do him. And
if you, in Melanie Gibb's book, because I read her book. And? Oh my God, I don't recommend it's not, you know, I'll just say it's not the best book I've ever read. But on a side note, she mentions at the tail end, if you go to the end of her book, she talks about Lori and how Lori was having a very hard time with the fact that Colby's wife was not Mormon. And she even mentions it in there. So it's like 3 times now this topic is coming up. And speaking of that rubric, Brandon Boudreaux was considered dark in that rubric way before. That's why I mentioned that in my video about Melanie Pawlowski, is that, you know, all the way back then when he's sending that email in October of 2018, he is saying that Brandon is dark, and he's claiming that in this weird past life situation, him and Lori were parents of Melanie Pawlowski in a previous life. So they're intertwined. You know what I mean?
I read actually on your channel today, on one of your videos, I screenshotted it because I saw that, and I didn't remember this. It was, oh my dear. Okay, hang on. Okay. It said in here, it had to do with Joseph Ryan. But one where was said, where is it? It says, the mother, Ms. Vallow, has explained to me on many occasions that she speaks with her deceased sister and believes that Tylee is reincarnation of her sister. So I thought, I forgot all about that. And so it's interesting to me how she was rated dark. when she believes that Tylee was a reincarnation of her sister. So that to me is like, what?
And it makes me think that maybe it's because Tylee was starting to question or talk back or do something, because and also when you said that, my first thought just now was Melanie replaced Tylee for Lori. She didn't need Tylee because she had the daughter she really wanted, that she could talk to and who was going along with her. I don't think Tylee went along with her the way that Melanie did. You know what I mean?
They're not very far apart in ages either with Melanie and Lori, because Lori's now 46, I believe, 46 or something.
Like around the late 40s, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
And Melanie is in her 30s, right? Early 30s. Mm-hmm. I can't remember. Mm-hmm. But I mean, really,
I feel like early to mid, yeah.
So really not that far off, and also Melanie isn't the same type of personality as Tylee. I mean, it's just different. Melanie is the yes, Lori, yes, I'll do that too. Oh, you're going to Hawaii, so will I. Oh, you're getting married, so will I. Oh, you're moving to Rexburg, so will I. And whereas Tylee's like, what are you doing, Mom?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Just like, simmer down.
There's even a part, it's a very nuanced part. And the only reason I caught it is because I watched that footage repeatedly. But there's a part in the body cam footage of Charles Vallow's shooting when the officer is asking Lori about her identifying features or something, and he kind of guesses her height and weight, and you could see she couldn't even contain the smile of like, she liked the number that was thrown out for her height and weight. And then right after that, Tylee says something you can't tell, but then Lori goes, what, like as if in that moment Tylee's like chastising her over something, right? And then she turns around, and then Tylee's extremely uncomfortable when he asks her about her height and weight, which I wish he didn't, you know what I mean? I wish he would have just guessed and wrote something, but whatever. And that is yet another layer, because even in the court documents, you can see that Joseph Ryan is saying, like, why are you giving her this diet? There's a fatty diet. There's something that Lori Vallow complains about, the fact that her father's controlling her high fat or low fat diet. Basically, I feel like Lori wanted Tylee to be on all these medications and feeding her unhealthy foods, almost so that she wasn't like competition or threat. I mean, I know it's twisted to think, but I feel like Lori would think like that.
I saw a little bit. So here's what I saw when the officer was asking Lori, and she's basking in her own glory. First of all, she thinks in her mind right now at this moment, I'm $1 million richer. I'm $1 million richer. Oh, sorry, neighbor, and then, toss off. Yeah, I'm 5'5" or whatever. She's like, and she's laughing. And I think at that moment, Tylee clearly is like, what are you doing? This is like supposed to be serious. And here you are like giggling and flirting with the officer. Right. And then to your point too, when she's asking Tylee, when he's asking Tylee about, oh, you have beautiful blue eyes, and your height and your weight. And you can see the shift, because actually what Tylee does is she actually turns away from her mom to answer him. So that tells me that there is something that has to do with her weight. There's something there, like either Lori's saying something or whatever. You can see it, because her body language, she turns and she's protecting herself, right? She's
self-soothing a lot.
And I understand, poor girl. It's awkward even for anybody to ask you that at that age. Doesn't matter what your weight is, just awkward, right? Like, what are you asking me? But you could see there's something, because she kind of turns. And one of the things that struck me is actually with JJ's diet. And I realize he's on the spectrum, and I realize on the spectrum, kids will be very picky, or they'll be, they like their foods, and that's it. However, Lori's background is in fitness competitions. Okay. And I used to do them 20 years ago. And so I know that when you do them, you are dialed in, meaning you know what's coming into your mouth, you know how many calories, protein, carbs, fats, you know it all. And
Yep.
and you're very clean eating. And obviously, Lori watches what she eats. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it was surprising to me that she'd be okay with a diet every morning for breakfast to have soda for Americans, soda and soda pop, soda and what are these called? Chicken fries or chicken something like that. They're
Like chicken nuggets or chicken
yeah,
nuggets or tender.
or something at this
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
before school. Like, are you
Yeah.
kidding me? For me, I'm like this. My child's not gonna be having that. First off, and you're
Right.
like Sprite or whatever it is and bouncing off the walls, it's not good. And when you're on the spectrum, you need to have better nutrition, and stabilizing all kinds of things, right? So there's all kinds of things. So to me, when I see this kind of thing happening, there is way more going on. Don't forget, Charles is also or was also very healthy. He worked out. He also, right?
Fair.
There was some weird things, and poor little Tylee, what she's gone through in her life. One thing I used to do this. I used to help mummies lose weight. I used to do this a long time ago. And one of the things that I know is in anybody who's put on a few pounds or whatever, we as women, we emotional eat too as well. Not everybody, but a lot of us. And what we do is protect ourselves with this extra weight. It protects ourselves, even if we can't verbalize it. It's like
trauma. Yes, it's a big side effect. Is overeating. Almost. Yes, it's true.
It's protection. It's safety. This is where we feel safe. Even though we don't feel it, we look at ourselves and you're like, oh, I don't feel good or whatever. Yeah. But it is a layer of safety. So there's a lot of things going on, and medically too. There's medical situations too that people gain weight, their thyroid, and all these things. So I just find it really odd as well, to the level of, sure, JJ liked his certain foods, and some people would have fits if they don't have their food, but it had to start from somewhere as well. Right?
Yeah.
Like, are you going to give your kid cotton candy and like send him to school, every single day? That's not good for his learning. How's he going to focus and concentrate? He's not getting any nutrition in his body. So, and she seems like the person who is very, if she is very in tune with health, then she would be the type to be like, my kids need the utmost attention in their health and what they're eating, and because that's what she does. And don't get me wrong, my little one's super picky. He's super picky, and he doesn't eat like how I eat. Yeah. My oldest one, not so much. But still, there's just these little nuances. It's like you're feeding him before school, and then you're giving his dog away, and then. And so it's
And speaking about the kids and the appearances and stuff, on Annie Liddick's live, Annie Cushing, Tylee's aunt. That most recent one where she is playing the recording, she also mentions in that live how, because Lori was a hairdresser, how Lori was highlighting Tylee's hair blonde before Tylee was even 1 year old, and that she had thought that Tylee was a natural blonde. Like, when you're younger and it's like very blonde and then it kind of grows out as they get older. That's what she had thought. But then Lori's casually talking to her in the kitchen, and she starts pulling stuff out and starts highlighting Tylee's hair, like touching up her roots. And Annie was like flabbergasted, and Annie believes that the reason why Lori did this is because she loved the fact of people saying, oh, your daughter has like blonde hair and blue eyes. Or like when in reality, she may have had the blue eyes, but she wasn't blonde. And so she thinks that Lori was doing this just so that she could say, my daughter has blonde hair and blue eyes, which the reason why I'm mentioning this is because Lori cares about appearances very much. And she does believe that her child's appearances is a reflection upon her, which also makes it very weird that she would be like that with Tylee's health. And Tylee's a beautiful girl. Tylee's a pretty girl. So I can see a narcissist like Lori, who's all about her looks, seeing her daughter basically being a threat, like coming up as she gets older, she's going to look better than her. And that Lori didn't want that. I could see that. Plus, in order for her to keep this Munchausen thing, which a lot of people think she had, and making Tylee unhealthy, she put her on lots of medications that either could have caused the weight gain or prevented weight loss, affected her appetite, whatever. I think the fact that her daughter was sick and maybe overweight and had all these things, it was like a reflection, not a reflection of her, but it was like a pity card. But the hair and the eyes, well, she's going to get that from her. And so that needs to look good because it reflects on Lori. You know, it's just like the way she thinks is so, we wouldn't think about that, but she would.
And you know, you make a point because it brought me right to Colby's wife. And he even said, oh, it was as if I was a boyfriend. And it was
because she's gorgeous. Colby's wife is gorgeous.
Absolutely.
And that's a threat.
She's like, okay, gotta mark this down, dark. Yep.
Yeah, it's so weird. And also, I've heard a lot about the dynamics between Lori and her son, Colby. It was very much that sort of needy mother that's putting a lot of emotional stuff. And I noticed that tends to happen with certain mothers and their eldest son. If their son is the oldest, it becomes this sort of weird relationship where they rely a little too much on their son emotionally. And I feel like she definitely would have done that. And Colby's very handsome too. Look, they're all good looking. You can't deny that.
Everybody in the family. Everybody in the family. Yeah.
So that type of thing is on her radar. She's a model, she's doing pageants, she was a cheerleader, you know what I mean? It's all connected. And we may not think of it, but it might be something in the forefront for her because of the way she thinks.
Well,
you know what I mean?
You see it in court. I mean, she had to have her Jolly Rancher lipstick. And remember, she said to one of the girls in jail, it's like, oh, this, you know, all of this, you know,
yeah. Sure. That's her power. That's how she gets where she gets in life.
Joseph Ryan's lawyer talked about that. He said she just has a power, and he actually called her a crime boss, though. That was like, yep. And I was so how he said that. Yes. Because we know she, and so a lot of people are asking, they say, you know, who's more influenced, like who influenced who with Chad and Lori? And I think it's kind of, well, maybe I'll ask you that, and then I'll tell you my thoughts on it, because I go back and forth, but let me hear what you have to say there.
This is what I think. I feel like Chad, he's the book smarts. And I think that he's the one who finds the scriptures or the religious justifications for things and kind of turns it into a rubric or a little written thing. Because, you know, he's the author, you know, he's got that sort of thing. Versus Lori, I think she's the one who's actually focused on the deed. So she's the one who's like, knows about the life insurance, is all about the life insurance policies, putting the ideas in his head. So like, you know, Joseph Ryan, I got something when he passed. Charles Vallow, I'm going to get something when he passes. Your wife, Tammy, because remember with Tammy, he increased it right before. And I'm sure she told him to do that. I'm sure because, you know, her father was involved in insurance, life insurance and stuff. Charles Vallow was as well. So they know all about this stuff.
Like everybody.
They're all up on this, like they know more than the average. And so I believe she's the one who's more like, they gotta go, we need the money. And then he comes in and he's like, oh, they're dark, the zombie came. He's the one who said JJ's the zombie. Charles Vallow, Ned Schneider, you know, he gives her the justification, but she wants the thing.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Yes, absolutely. And so we back up just a little bit on the upping Tammy's insurance, because Tammy died October 19th, and Lori bought the rings, the attire, everything. She bought that on October 3rd. So it'd be interesting to know what date he upped her insurance at, because she's like, hey, you know what? Just like you said, you know what? Let me tell you, because I have experience. This is what you do. But you know, you got to make it worth it, right? Make it worthwhile, because we need money to get that 144,000 and you know, do all this stuff. So you're gonna have to up it. That's not enough. See how much you can go.
Yeah.
And then he ups it.
And they're increasingly desperate at that point, because they thought they were getting Charles money. They didn't get it. They tried Brandon Boudreaux. That didn't work. So now they're like, what, 2 for 2, 0 for 2? They're 0 for 2. So they need, depending on how you see Joseph Ryan. So I could definitely see that desperation of like, well, whatever that amount is, it's not enough. We need more, so that. And the when you look at how much their place was in Hawaii, I think the rent was like over $6,000 a month, you know, and then you compare that with her rent. It doesn't make sense, right? I mean, that rent, okay, it's a lot, but it would make sense if everything else made sense. It just, the whole thing is weird. And I totally think you're onto something with finding out the date, because the ring and the dress show that they're trying to get her out of the way and they want to get married. So I think that's a really important thing to find out.
How would you, okay, so here we go. This lady is buying a wedding ring. Oh, how are you so confident that you're going to marry this man? He's married. So what's going on here? And, you know, October 3rd, right? And all these things. Now, a little bit about your point about the ring, the cheap ring, the lesser apartment, right? Same amount, same price, lesser apartment. And then just all these little weird things that are just opposite. And so I don't know if they're trying to stage something or what. One of the things that I've been asking and I've been working on, and I'll ask you, and maybe these guys too, why come back? Why did they come back? This has been on I have a whiteboard over there, and literally says, why come back? Why did they come back from Hawaii when they got married? The kids are gone. Tammy's gone. Okay.
She loves Hawaii.
Thing I think of is, because they love Hawaii. Chad even says, hey, do you have a place to rent? Right? And then they came back. Why did they come back? And I think that there may be another plan in place in that month of November. And that 26th, something happened thank God for Kay. She said, hey, like, I finally found where they are. Here's where you can find them. And I just keep thinking this, because they go to Hawaii, they're getting married, they could be in the sunset. Why are they coming back? Unless it's to keep gathering for the 144. However, kids are gone. Alex even was moving back. He moved back. And that's where I found out about that whole apartment thing, that he didn't even let the current apartment in Arizona know that he was moving, which is weird, right? It's weird.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think about it. That's such a good question. And it never occurred to me. But yeah, why come back? What it says, hear me out. Sorry, is my lighting?
See on Noor's hat, it says, hear me out.
Hear me out.
I almost did a hat tonight that was going to go on that said, in my opinion.
Oh, you should have. That would have been so cool. That would have been so cool. No, but you're right. You know, why did they come back? And I think you're onto something with the gathering, because my understanding is that particular area was really big on the doomsday prepping. They had a lot of those, you know, white camp tent cities. There were some in Utah, there's some here, but apparently that area in Idaho was like a hub for that kind of stuff. So maybe if they felt like now they're married, now they're sealed, or I don't know how they would, you know, phrase it. Maybe it did have something to do with their mission to come back, because I can't see why not, or a plan, or something we have no idea about that they were plotting and scheming. Because I feel like she's so hyper and manic almost, and go. And she talks a mile a minute. She's always got some sort of thing going on. So she could have been on to the next thing. They probably thought they were invincible at this point.
And did you hear about Lori when she was talking about these camps? She said something like, well, yeah, I'm not going to be camping in there. she's talking about that, right? So
yeah,
that
of course, she'd be glamping.
Yeah, she'd be glamping, right? And so that's what I was thinking about is why are you coming back? Is there more? Was there more of something, or were you going to do it? Because don't forget, they did ask about the rental in the beginning of November, right? It was the beginning of November, wasn't it, with the apartment? So I think it was I want to say the 8th of November or the 7th, like the same time. So they were planning on it anyway. So why are you coming? Why come back to Rexburg? I'm telling you, when something bugs me, like apartment 107, Charles, I know there's something there. And so this is the other thing. Why are you coming back?
What do you think is the deal with the apartment? Because that is really strange. And I remember when you made a video just talking about apartment 107, and some people didn't get it, and I was like, no, man, she's onto something. I don't know what it is either, but it's weird. And you brought up these things, and I'm curious, what do you like? Do you have a theory, or are you still like, what's going on with that?
You know, I know there's something. I have a couple of questions in my mind, but at the same time, that's why I made that video. Something was bothering me, and I'm like, no, we gotta look. And then that's the thing. The differences between same price in rent, but Lori's choosing the lesser apartment. Why is that? And maybe it's for the children so that she can go and meet up with Chad in there, you know, and have their own little place. I don't know yet, but there's some things that I know. It's like when the cops came and asked them, and they're like, I saw her in apartment 107, and it was like a movie, you know. It's like a movie. It's like
apartment 107. Yeah.
Not like, oh, it's weird. So Alex's apartment was like, no, she's in 107. I saw 107. Yeah,
it's almost maybe
107. It's like a weird. It's so weird. You know, it is so weird.
To throw the scent off, could it be the crime scene? Easy cleanup? Could it be a totally? I don't know.
And it went off the market in December or February. I think it was February. December is when Alex wasn't there anymore, and I think it was January, February when back on the market. I looked that up, but yeah, that 107 bugs me. Just like, why did she come back? They were planning on saying why did they come back, and part of it is Melanie, because she came in the beginning of November. She came and lived to move there. But I find that weird. There's something weird about that. Can't quite put my finger on it.
Also, I have a thing that's been bugging me, and I mentioned it on my video, and I've got a lot of comments. I would love to know what you think about this. And that is, why would they choose to do what they did to JJ the weekend they had company? Was it an alibi? If it was an alibi, man, that's risky. Why would you take that chance unless they knew about it and it wasn't a risk? But then why? I don't know. I can't reconcile.
I know you start asking all these questions. I think that Melanie Gibb, I think she knew some things. I'm not speaking about their deaths. I'm speaking in general. And I think they chose her as a scapegoat in a lot of things, especially with Brandon Boudreau. They're like, hey, you know, can you go just check on the kids at Brandon's old place, even though she didn't know about that. And so I think they used her in a lot of ways because she has a little bit of, you know, she's a little bit naive or, you know, gullible, that's the word. And I think there was a little bit of that. So I think she was in the circle, but I don't think she was in the very inner circle. So that I agree. I think Lori needed some validation about the zombie theory. See, the zombie. See, and I think she needed that validation in one aspect. The other is so super weird as the timing, and the timing is why. Like, if they're gonna do that with Tylee, why are you waiting another 2 weeks? That was strange to me. Although I did talk about the 23rd, about how that was, you know, Dead Lucille's speaks to Chad every year. And I think for him, that was like, listen, Lori, I got a little bit of a, you know, Lucille talked to me last night and this is what he said, and he's got to go. You know, he's got to go. And then, you know, the whole bit about him knocking Jesus off of the bridge. Like, it's just
that whole. And you know, when you said about Lori wanted to use Melanie, you're so right, because Lori even almost let that slip on that call. When she said, there's a part where she goes, why did you, and then she stops herself, and then she's like, I needed you to, she basically was going to say, because she's so fast, I used you, basically. And your theory about that, I totally believe it. She said it herself.
And I think Melanie is lucky, and somebody's even saying this. Okay, I'm going to say this. I say this, and then I'll go to the comments. I think Melanie's lucky because I think that given in a pinch, Lori would have put her under the bus.
Oh yeah,
I really do. And so maybe she was going to use her as like, well, if I'm getting caught, this girl's going to go in for me and whatever. Who knows what the backup plan is? It just kind of seems like that. Sarah says, don't forget Lori made a special trip to see April Raymond to gather the 144,000. That's right in the spring, right? During that whole 60-day hiatus, she went to go see Lori and wanted. He
was trying to recruit her.
And leave the kids behind. Nobody could have kids. There was just the couples, right? No kids allowed.
That's a big part of it. That's a big part of it. That's a big part of, I think, why, you have Melanie Pawlowski without her kids at the same time that Lori's there getting rid of her children, is because these 144,000, I guess they weren't supposed to have children with them as part of the mission. So unbelievable.
I know. So Sarah says, hear me out. What if they came back to take care of Melanie Gibb?
She was talking, maybe, but they need her, because think about it. Lori brought Melanie with her to the police station, and Melanie was saying, Charles doesn't have friends, and he scared me, and he lied to me. So she's definitely somebody that Lori leaned on in the past with help with law enforcement. She came through, she helped her, Lori got out of it. So maybe she thought that Melanie was just that dedicated that she would, take a picture of random children and pretend that JJ was one of them. Maybe she really thought that. And I think David Warwick was part of what woke Melanie Gibb up, because even Lori says, well, David is in your ear, and David da-da-da, right? And she was with David when she made that call.
Yeah. He was rated dark in Lori's mind, because both of them, Chad too. Well, you can see his influence I can see his influence on you, Melanie.
Right.
So
I know. Or when he says, hello, sweet Melanie.
Oh,
sounding like,
you know what? I'm going to be honest right here. When I and everyone heard, hello, sweet Melanie, all of us wanted to go take a shower.
Yeah.
We all
no, it's so creepy. It's so bad.
I can't. And he made a boo-boo on that. He made a boo-boo in that recording because he told a little different story about his wife, Tammy. Well, she had heart problems and she was sick and she didn't like the doctors. And then, I thought you said she had a cough. What's with the heart? I thought she just had a cough. What's going on there? And one of the things I talk about too, and I'm interested in what you think about this, is the middle of the night theory, that I think, or I feel like they died all in around the same time. I feel like they did. So with Tammy, the coroner estimated she died around 2 or 2:30 or something like that is estimation. But I was looking into this witching hour, or the devil's hour. And it was like 4 a.m. and in the middle of the night, right? And so, and that's when Lori hears voices. Yeah, right? I mean, I know. And then I got to thinking, okay, Tammy died in the middle of the night. JJ and Tylee, we don't know. JJ, we don't know. We're guessing. But I'm starting to think that it was around that middle. And I realized this when it was the Secret Society video. All these things are lining up with Secret Society, this, and this. And then this witching hour came out. And I thought, I'm betting it, if they looked into it, and I wonder if they can to figure that out, if it wasn't in the middle of the night at around the same time, because Alex came to the place as well at 2:30 in the morning. He came back to Lori's apartment and he left at 4:37. So he came back in the middle of the night in and around this time. So I don't know if there was some weird thing that they did, to expel these zombies or whatever. But I feel like
an exorcism type of situation where they're pretending that that's what they're doing, and I
something,
could see them
I
justifying it like that. Yeah, I think the whole, I mean, and the thing that always strikes me, and when I found those court documents, it changed everything for me, because Lori has a history of over medicating the children, not just
yes,
her children, even Charles Vallow's children. She has a history. We heard about the nanny saying it. She said it herself. The court appointed monitors are noticing that, Tylee looks lethargic and over medicated. Then Cheryl, I think that's Charles Vallow's ex, she said that her son said that they're putting Lunestra and shoving it down the kid's throat, and Lori's doing it. So to me, I believe that this poisoning, it's Lori's thing. You know what I mean? And we don't know what it is. Malachite. Some people say, I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it ricin or some sort of thing in a eye drop? I'm not. There's something people mention a lot. It's like,
yeah. But
there's many things that could be. Right. But I think that, combining this evening thing, this middle of the night witching hour, with the fact that she's always over medicating the children, it could happen. It could be that she has a certain concoction and then they slip it in at night, and I was thinking about it too, is like, I can see Tammy taking some sort of drink from Chad. I can definitely see the kids taking something from Lori. Same with Tylee, all of them. I just can't see, Joseph Ryan or Charles Vallow, which we know he was shot, or Alex Cox. I don't know. Maybe he would, maybe he wouldn't. I don't know if it's the same thing with everyone, or if they kind of switch it up just as what's an opportunity. That's something that I've been wrestling with a lot. Is it the same method throughout, or do they find a different method? Like, because with Tammy and Alex Cox, it's very different than with Charles Vallow, how he passed. And then the
opportunity, though, right?
I agree.
Tammy's in the home, kids are in the home, Charles Vallow not in the home, and
he's not going to take anything from anybody.
No, not with all the shenanigans, and he's coming over. That and their timeline in that I ripped apart as well in the Charles Vallow series. Like, there's all kinds of wrong in there. He got killed way before, they're saying, way before.
So I have a question for you on that. What do you think about what Tylee said in her statement regarding Charles Vallow's death? Because it seems like that car ride that her and Lori were on, I'm sure Lori told her what to say.
I think it's like they had enough time. They had 40, I think it was 40 minutes or something. Like, they had a good hour. By the time they got back, she could have been like, this is what you're going to say, and this is how it's going to go down. It has to be the same, and this is how it is. And that's when you see Tylee standing there, like, kind of self-soothing, rocking a little bit, answering. It's like, they had time.
She's like, I don't know. Like, there's this thing in her voice where she's like, like, you can see that she's the only one having a normal reaction to the situation.
That's the common denominator, isn't it? No emotion, doesn't match what it should. You see this as a theme throughout, not just with Lori, too, with Lori and Alex. He's on the phone. He's like, yeah, I just shot my brother in self-defense. Oh, you want to do CPR? Nah, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Like, well,
it's so weird.
It's the equivalent of a woman be like, yeah, no, doing her nails and, that kind of thing. It's
absolutely
does not match. It just does not match. You hear this over and over and over. And then you hear people say over and over, Lori's not in her right mind. Charles said that how many times? You see Annie Cushing being like, okay, there's something not right. Like, she's just so not emotional. She's like, well, the world's better off without Joe Ryan. And just like, well.
And think about Tylee. I think about Tylee and the fact that, can you imagine witnessing what happened to Charles Vallow, and then the very people who did it are now telling you, you better say the right thing. She very well could have been afraid for her life. We know that they took her life at the end of it. So I mean, this poor girl. It's like I know that JJ is the younger one, and you can't say which victim is what. You can't do that. But for me personally, because I've read those court documents and I've seen that literally from 18 months of age until her last breath, this little girl never had a chance, she never had a childhood. She never had a sense of normalcy. I can't believe she actually was in an amazing condition the way she was for what she went through. I can't even say that right, but you know what I'm saying? Like the way she was at the time when you see her on these body cam footage, I think she did amazing considering what she went through.
Yes, and she had JJ too come enter into the picture, right? Because Colby was a little bit older, and even Colby said in his Thanksgiving video last week, he talked a little bit about how he wished he could have a conversation with Charles, and he even said, I cannot remember the words exactly, so you guys nobody kill me about this, but he said something to the effect of, my life wasn't that great. And I was kind of like, oh, I haven't really heard that. It was the gist of that, like, hey, it wasn't good. Like, it wasn't good. So you see then Tylee going through all these things, and then she has joy in JJ around, and she took on that mother role because I think that she knew what Lori was about. And I just was like, I got to protect my baby brother.
That's why they got rid of her first. They knew that if they did something to JJ first.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Tylee would not let that happen without a fight. So they had to get her out of the way first so that there was nobody there to advocate for JJ. Then it's also really weird how Lori stopped giving him his medication. I feel like she was trying to make him act out so that she could say he was a zombie.
100% agree the same thing. It's like, let's wean him off that, because let's just and also Chad could be like, well, let's just wean and see who he really is. Let's see who he really is. And then she's like, great idea, and then takes that. But at the same time, you hear her say to the nanny, oh yeah, sometimes we give him a little extra, a little earlier, whatever she said, to give him some medication. So but then they found out that he wasn't, or they had 19 pills left in the bottle. So I don't know. I think maybe there's some influence on each other. It's the perfect storm in their eyes. I think with all this, it's such an unfortunate thing because, no one deserved this. And it's just awful. It's just absolutely awful. And my thing too is how the children, and I'm not going to go into details about this, but how the children died too are so different. So I feel like there's influences on each side. Like maybe it wasn't the same person.
I feel like, and this is again, my conspiracy, don't sue me, but I feel like that, they didn't really know what they were really in for with Tylee. I think that, they thought burning her would be more like, wouldn't be as big of a mess, or as it wasn't as effective as they thought it would be. And then they kept trying to change it, and it became mess. Yeah, there's a gunshot that they have to explain to the neighbors. They have to dig something up that they have to explain to Tammy. They kept having to figure it out on the fly, it feels like. And if you look at the phone pings, Alex Cox was there for much longer because I feel like they didn't know what they were doing. And then the next thing with JJ, it looked like they were trying to contain everything. No mess, no thing. Is like the second time around, we're not taking any chances. Yeah. And it just, the whole thing was so different and contained versus the first one seemed kind of frantic and messy. So I think the difference with that is they realized that was a bad idea and they did everything wrong and they needed to get a better plan next time. Well, and I mean, again, just my...
No, and I agree. And I think from my understanding is, it's a lot of work to do what they did to Tylee, like a lot of work, and it doesn't take a small amount of time. So I think maybe they did learn about that, but at the same time, it's so heinous what they did. I almost wonder if it was Chad, and maybe not. Maybe it was both. I don't know. But do you
Linda,
think
you're right?
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, and then I'll ask you a question.
Okay, I was just gonna say you're totally right, because if you've ever read Chad's book about being a gravedigger, you'll see that he has. Oh, don't.
I wanted to, and then I didn't want to.
I mean, for research purposes, maybe, but if you don't have to, it was just the worst. I had to oh my God, I had to force myself to finish the book. But he shows very, very little respect for the dead. And it shocked me. There's one scene in there where they're making fun of a wealthy lawyer who his family had purchased like a very elaborate casket. And so it was so elaborate and so large that I guess the pre-plotted or dug up thing, it was too small. And so they decided to put that person's corpse in a septic tank, and Chad jokes about it and that they were laughing, which is pretty much the worst thing you could do to it. It's very disrespectful. And, being that he's supposed to be a man of God, and you would think that there's a little bit more respect for someone like that. Yeah. And they put him in a septic tank. They joke about it. There's another segment in the book where he is joking about how there's like a certain machine, and I think it was an elderly woman who had passed, and they sort of made the machine go like that, and it looked like she was dancing, and they were laughing about it. And then there's another segment in his autobiography where he talks about going on this rampage. He sees a bee's nest, and then he starts smashing it and killing the bees. And then before you know it, he goes on a rampage. He blacks out. He doesn't know how long it's been. And then before you know it, there's like dead bees everywhere. And then he hears a voice, maybe his grandmother Lucille or someone, basically telling him no, stop, don't do it. And then he kind of snapped out. But he says that he got a special satisfaction or joy. Don't quote me on it, but there's a certain phrase he used. And so reading all that, knowing what has happened, it's almost like, when they say the first sign of a serial killer is doing things to animals, and then how he doesn't have this respect for the dead that you think somebody would have. He's almost desensitized to it as a gravedigger. So all that together, you're absolutely right. It could be Chad's weird thing.
This is what I was going to ask you. My question was, do you think this could have been done before? Because I'm starting to wonder if this isn't the first time.
Well, I don't know for sure, but I have had people bring it to my attention that there's some missing woman's case, or some missing woman who she either is missing or she died. I'm not quite sure, around the time and area where Chad would have been a gravedigger at that time. And I never really looked into it. I remember hearing about it. I don't know if that's anything, but it did come to mind when you asked me,
Yeah, I think I looked I didn't dig. I saw a little bit of it, and now her name is escaping me. I'm sure it'll come in a minute. I'm sure people will remind me. It was they were in the same high school, or they were in the same small town, and this girl went missing, and two guys, one of them was said there was another person, but I'll never say the name. I'll never say his name. And so a lot of people were looking into this girl going, maybe she was also, part of that. And the only thing that I start thinking is when I see with Tylee, and then his sinister, weird rubrics, and of course his past of what he did for a living, and now for you saying how disrespectful he was, and he had this kind of morbid curiosity. And you know what? It especially bothers me in the courtroom at the hearing in September. You see them bring, Rob Wood's here's exhibit 18, and they bring it over to their table, right? Here's exhibit 19. Well, you see Chad, especially, and go watch this. Everybody go watch this if you go to this hearing and watch. And when they put the evidence down, and Chad, you'll see him look over, kind of get this little smirk on his face, take a look at what it was, and then look up. And I swear you can see him revel in that moment. Like, yeah.
I did that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he
laughed a lot. He does a lot of those little smirks.
He just looked over, wanted to take a look, and I went, you did this before. Like, because it felt like, here's what I have in my mind now. Okay, I picture, because remember, kids are in the yard. Tammy's still alive. I feel like I can see him wake up in the morning, like he doesn't drink coffee if he's Mormon, right? He's just like looking out. I just picture him looking out the window at the spot and reveling in it. Like almost like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know why it just keeps going
that grandiose thing.
You wanted those kids there, and you are living it every morning, looking out there. That's how I feel at this point.
In his mind, think of the power. He's thinking, I managed to convince this woman to kill her kids for me. You know what I mean? It could be that she wanted to do it. It could be that he provided the justification. It could be they all came. I mean, we know for sure 3 people were involved, right? Chad, Lori, and Alex. We know that for sure.
Yeah.
Who planted it? Who did it? But the smugness is there. And now I might be crazy for this one, stretch and all that. But I swear, I remember when I watched the hearing, I swear there were moments where it seemed like there was like a technical difficulty, and he smiled and laughed as if he thought like somebody from the veil made it happen. I felt that smugness where he felt like, oh yeah, this is happening in the real world, but I've got backup. I've got power. You don't know. Because at this point, they still think they're invincible, right? They still think they could get away with it. The walls haven't closed in just yet. So I don't know.
Did you see John Pryor at the hearing? And John's like, I literally burst out laughing when he's like, sorry, Your Honor. I thought I heard.
I heard a voice. I screamed. I was like, uh-oh, you've been hanging out with Chad a little too long, I think.
I burst out laughing. I was like, this is like a meme should be made from that, like from that point.
Of all the things to have said for him, like, I don't think he realized like the irony of that, for him to be like, I heard a voice.
It was hilarious. Sorry, Your Honor. I thought I heard voices coming from the corner. I was like, you've been hanging out with Chad. Alex says, I don't think anyone has confirmed if Alex had life insurance. This is the loaded question, isn't it? Do you know?
I don't know.
We don't know yet.
I don't know. I haven't looked into it as much as I probably should. I will probably want to figure that out a little bit more, but I haven't found anything. I haven't found if Zulema got anything. I did search if Zulema got any type of financial thing from his passing. I couldn't find anything with that. Zulema's really hard to find information about. I feel like she had somebody scrub her information or something. It's just really, really abnormally difficult to find things about her. But then again, it could be because she may have immigrated here. I'm not quite sure what her background is exactly. Maybe there's certain records that are overseas. That's why we can't find them. But I don't know the answer to that.
I know I've been looking too, and that's the loaded question, isn't it? We kind of need to know that.
But I also feel like the motive for Alex's death or killing would be very different from any of the other ones, because he's an inner circle person who might talk. I don't think they needed life insurance. They had another reason to shut him up.
Because it was a day after too, right? It's a day after Tammy was exhumed. So that is suspicious, obviously. But at the same time, you're listening to that 911 call. You're like, man, full circle, isn't it? Because Lopez is like, well, I don't want to. He's like, there's stuff all over the place and I don't want to.
Yes.
And you're like, huh.
Interesting how that happened to you, like you did it to some.
Yeah,
right?
but
Karma.
I think when the 911 call was made, I think Charles was long gone. I think he was long gone. I think he waited till and it was like, because you don't revive a zombie. So why would you revive, right? So
right. And there was a weird thing in that footage too, where the camera cuts off right when one of the officers or somebody says something about wiping the blood. And then it cuts off and people are like, did they like mess with the scene a little bit? Because I think if we could see how the blood looked, that would give you also an idea of how long the body was there. If it had started to congeal or solidify versus if it was like a fresh pool of blood.
Hours. Yeah.
But I mean, you're totally right. I mean, why would they call it? She went to like drop off JJ, which is so weird. The fact that she took his car is also so tasteless. I mean, the guy just died and you're going to take his car, like grab his keys and take his car. It's so shameless.
Well, I was at the point. Shameless. I was at the point I wondered if she took his watch right off him.
Right. And then the whole fake watches that she sent the children when they asked for his valuable, the whole thing, she's money grubbing in such a way, which again is what makes that ring so weird. And the apartment thing you mentioned, it's the level of which she actually does really care about those things. It makes that stuff super weird.
Yeah, it makes it the complete opposite of what she's used to doing. Like, it's very odd. Right. And if we want to talk about money, really, when you see that, Chad was not a wealthy man. And Lori had a propensity for finding men who were wealthy or made good money and could give her the good life. And but she also got obsessed with his books. And that's
I was just going to say also when remember when she's talking to the police, when they're like, the cop kind of pretends like he doesn't know who Chad Daybell is. He's like, oh, Chad, the author. Remember when she was introducing him, she was like, he's an author. He's an author. Like, you could tell she got like a pride from it. Like, my husband, the author, the well-known respect. Like, if he doesn't have money, at least he's the author. You know what I mean? So the prestige, right? She likes that.
Yep. Yeah. And I guess that's the best way too, is, well, we can make you a little richer. You just have to get insurance and just pump it up a little bit. No problem.
Yeah. And then she can have everything.
For our wedding.
Money. Can have, and she used Charles' credit card. Yeah. And she used his credit card for the thing. Yeah. So shameless. Just like, she has no bar that she won't go below. Like, it's just unbelievable.
And I think everybody's frustration is, when are they getting these murder charges, right? Like, because you're sitting there going, how, when, if, why? I think, I don't know. I think they have a lot of work to do, because now they had to go back to Charles, because they announced, right, that they were going and digging more into the data with Charles. And now all this mess in their eyes going, oh, now we got to go back to Joseph, right? That could not be there. There could be something there. Could not be. Maybe something natural happened to Joseph. It could. But there's also
and I think also, speaking of the attorney, I think Keith Taniguchi or something like that, Joseph Ryan's attorney, he did mention the fact that, I lost my train of thought. What were you just saying?
We're talking about Joseph Ryan and possibly.
Yes. I remember that the heart attack that he had could have actually been a result, like a later side effect from the tasing, because he did have to get hospitalized for his heart. So the argument could be made that, even if not directly, indirectly, this could have created a condition that, because also Joseph Ryan did drink and he had some issues with that. So you're right. It could definitely be an accident, but what a convenient, what an amazing accident for Lori. What a wonderful thing that worked out so perfectly for her.
I want to know where Alex was those few days before? I want to know. Maybe he was hanging out with Lori those last couple of days. I'd love to know that. I'm sure everybody would love to know that. And I'd love to know who Dad was, because I'm starting to think that maybe perhaps they knew each other a little bit more before in person than we all know.
I totally think, and I don't know if Melanie would have known about that. Yeah, because Melanie, maybe Lori made it seem to Melanie like they're meeting for the first time. I don't put that past her at all. And especially if they're trying to keep this appearance of like the good girl or whatever in the beginning, that she wouldn't be talking to him. But we know that they were emailing. We know that she had invited him over very soon after supposedly meeting. So it's very likely that they could be talking way before what we think is the official beginning of their communications. Yeah. And also regarding charges, why there's no murder charges, I thought about it too. First of all, it's very difficult to prove something when the person who did the deed is not here, right? You don't have Alex Cox. That is a big wrench in that, as well as the fact that you've got different jurisdictions. They may not all be communicating. And then thirdly, I know with Rexburg, they actually had to call in the FBI to come in because they didn't have the resources for this. So the amount of resources you would need to do this, they've got burner phones, emails, devices.
Burner phones, like 60 burner phones.
Yeah. Like it feels manic. It feels frantic. It feels nonstop, like the way that she was. So it's hard to like dive into all that and parse through all the bull stuff that to find the stuff that's really important. It takes time and effort.
Alone, it was like 5 months to get that. And now they went back for Charles. And so that is another, 5-6 months to possibly get the info. Because I think they were saying in the hearing, it was 5 months that they were gathering, by the time you have to submit it and then this and extract and look at it. And I mean, it's even just research alone takes us hours and hours and hours. Right. To do it. And this, so I mean, for them to go through this and then they have to yank all the stuff and then put it together. And I mean, this is the most craziest case because you have so many people involved. It's not like, one person who done it and then a couple people. This is like we're at like 20 or 30 people easily. Yeah. And 20 people easily, like, I guess it's just like, it's constant. It's like this person, and then they got married. And by the way, she has 5 husbands and this person died and that person and then you just start to put it together and you have a real good picture of what Lori is all about and what Chad's all about. And both of them are culpable. Both of them. It's not just Lori and it's not just Chad. I think they fed off each other and they loved it. They just pumped each other's tires, basically. No, you're so good. No, you're so awesome. No, you're so awesome. It was
even the footage of them in the storage unit where he's giving her the little pat. It's like, knowing the context of that, they're just like, ugh. And then the thing too with the police, like they have only one shot and they have to do it right.
That's right.
So I know it's most together for us. Yeah, but we got to let them do their thing and do it right on their time.
Think of that, all those minor little pieces. And they're like, okay, if we're going at them, every single dot and every T, right? They have to. Yeah. What was I going to say here? There was something there we were just talking about. Had to do with, Chad. Okay. So, and imagine this too, because this guy's a master manipulator. We look at him going, anybody who listens to him, because he's an author and he's doing book signings, it's like, yes, we have been married in a previous life. And I've said this before. Okay, most girls will go up like, this guy's creeping me out. I'm gone. Yeah. Girl, we're going, right? Like, right. Whereas some girls are like, oh, Chad said that I've been married to so many times before, what I mean? And so there's that manipulation factor, and he knows when somebody's, he's, throwing out the fishing line and,
taking the bait.
And so he knows how to manipulate. So here you have doughy-eyed Lori, who just loves his books, and he's just like, this girl's into me, and I can just, let's manipulate like crazy. And then he has these twisted thoughts and beliefs, and she's into it. And it's kind of like, oh yeah, and then this, and oh yeah, and then that, and then it just turns into this giant pile of crap, and then
Yes.
it's flung everywhere, and they're in the line of fire, unfortunately.
Right.
So
All for their ego.
Flower Girl says, thanks so much for bringing you to the smartest women, empower all of us with your inspiration every day. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Flower
There's
Girl.
been so many awesome people on tonight. And I do want to thank you because we have 2,600 people watching, just so you know. No fear or anything.
Oh, no.
Nor
26,000.
time on live. You're doing great. So we're going to get to some questions because people are just, they're doing so great. And thank you to my mods tonight too, as well. You guys are awesome. And thank you for joining us. What day is it today? We're on Sunday. So they're all hanging out. Some people have to go tomorrow to work and they're like, I don't care. Maureen says, I wonder if they have DNA. The coolest thing is, even just from the bags that JJ was in, I find it fascinating that they can even tell the different striations in the bag and the pattern in it and all this stuff. So there's some really cool things how they can get. And as for DNA, I hope they get something from them, from the kids, or from JJ at least, and just something that could tie all three of them or whatever.
Yeah, because I feel like Lori would have been a bit hands-on if it was happening in her place. So she might have left some DNA.
Yeah, maybe she doesn't realize, or maybe she kind of like the idea of getting married when really it doesn't apply to them in Idaho by getting married right away or whatever. It doesn't apply to them. So maybe it's the same thing. I mean, she might not know the rules, right? Maybe this is her first rodeo, maybe not Chad's, but whatever it is, there's a level of control. And I think all around it's in their mind what the end goal is. So it doesn't matter the steps to get there. It's just, well, this is how it's supposed to be. And this is where I'm going to end up.
Exactly.
So, let's see with some other questions here. They're talking about, please DNA.
Right. I know.
Catherine actually says the creep factor of Chad, I get nauseated. It seldom happens, but yikes, the way he lets at females. Yeah, it's kind of like that's what I was saying. Like you just kind of want to shower. Like, oh, what was that?
Absolutely.
Sweet Melanie.
His voice, yeah. It seems like this fake thing where he's like trying to speak slowly so that everybody hangs on to every word because it's so wise. And really, he's not saying much of anything.
I saw the Amazon book reviews like before this all happened even, and people are like, who's this writer? Right? He writes like a child. Like it wasn't that good. So I haven't read it though. I teetered.
There was grammar and the typos and the whole thing. And I'm just like, just on a basic level, this is just a bad book. You know what I mean? Like
that's what I got. They like for $3, it wasn't even worth $3 or whatever he was selling it for. No. So it wasn't like, it wasn't just because it was Chad. It was, really. There's one thing I read, how in the recording, Lori was saying, don't. Now I've totally lost it.
Which recording are you talking about? Which recording is it?
There was one where she was coming. Don't come for me. Don't. What is it? Do you remember?
Oh yeah, come at me 3 times or something. Is that what she was talking about?
Okay, not that. Yeah, comes at me once, comes at me twice. Okay, not that. It was something else, and it actually was pulled from Chad's blog
book. Oh, what?
And, it's so, I just so lost it. It was something.
It'll come to you like later on.
Yeah. She mimicked it. Anyways, it was like, well, we know where she's getting it from. Just kind of like
another sign.
And she uses that Book of Mormon. I swear she uses it like a manual, but she twists it in what it means. So she's like, well, it says here, you come at me once, twice, 3 times, you're dead. It says it right there, so I can kill. And she is
wresting the scriptures. When Melanie told her you're resting, and she goes, I'm resting the scriptures. Yes, yes. My voice is so deep, so when I go high, it breaks. I love it. But that's what she does. That's what she does.
Yeah. Yeah.
She for sure
rested the scriptures, and she uses it. Yeah, she just uses it like her own little secret manual, but it's not like, it's just, she twists it. Okay, let's see what they're saying here. Oh, somebody's asking, did Melanie go to CNL's wedding? They got married 4-ish days after she moved to Idaho. Yeah, we were wondering that too earlier. Oh, Melanie Gibb. You're wondering Melanie Gibb went to the wedding? I don't know. No, she didn't know about the wedding. She didn't know about the wedding because she was saying, yeah, she was doing an interview and she said she didn't know where they were, and then found out she got married because Lori sent her pictures. She sent photos to Melanie. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Horrible books. Somebody says horrible books. Yeah.
Fact. Yes, Stacy, you're right.
People are loving the live chat. You know, we've been talking for 2 hours. Can you even believe it? I can't even.
Honestly, it went by. Honestly, after now that you have, by the way, just to let people know that Linda's gave me the best advice on putting in a Ethernet, because I live in extremely rural area, like very much in the middle of nowhere. So now that you've given me this setup that I'm using and you've warmed me up, I'm like, maybe I should go live on my channel. Like maybe. No. I'm not sure, but I mean, it's easy with you because it's someone to talk with, but I guess you can look at the comments if you're by yourself. I don't know, but it's not as bad as I thought it would be. Let's just say the time really is flying.
It is flying. I'm so grateful you are coming on and hanging out with us. It's been great
to invite me and share your platform with me. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
And see, it's just easy, right? Like now it's easy. You did it once, so now it's no big deal. And you did it in front of 2,600 people the first time.
Oh my God. I'm so glad you're telling me now, 2 hours in, than in the like halfway. I'm glad because I didn't know that many people. It would freak me out.
You're doing great. You're doing super great. And everybody said yes. They said, Noor, you should do it. Yes, please do it live. And you guys, when we're done here, you guys go check out her channel. I do have her channel in the description below. And so check her out. And she's done a whole bunch of stuff on Joseph Ryan, and she has other videos as well. She has Joseph Ryan. She talks about Zulema Pastenes. And so go check her out. And she does her research and she goes through it. And you have your little quirky humor in there too, which I absolutely love. And so it's good. So I remember seeing you long time ago. And I was like, I like her. She's funny. And she's great.
Thank you.
Like you do your research. So I feel people
I love
don't.
You too. I was a fan before you even knew about that I existed. That's why I can't. It's so surreal. I'm like pinching myself. It hurts. So this must be happening.
Well, Noor was telling me tonight that she said that she first saw me on, or you saw the live from when I was on Scott Reich, and that was my first. That was my first live. And so, and people don't know this either. We only talked twice, like really one big time we talked. That was yesterday, right? Yes.
Right. The first time was very short because you had a doctor's appointment. It was so short. Yeah. Yeah. I remember. It just, I feel like we have a good, what's the word? Not repertoire.
Rapport.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay. I do the same thing. Yeah. It's almost like we've known each other for a long time. It's so weird because we could just chat. So before this, you guys, we were on 15 minutes before and we were chatting, getting comfortable. I want to make sure that Noor's comfortable. And we were just chatting away, and I was giving her the heads up to come on. And basically, we've only talked to each other once before, really, and you wouldn't know it, but we were just so comfortable. And I said, we're not going to do any sort of, crazy guide. We're just going to go in and I'm sure we're going to be fine because we just
2 hours later.
2 hours and 15 minutes, and we could still talk. And you guys know this story, this case is so crazy that we could literally talk for 12 hours and not run out of things to say because there's so much things. So
Absolutely.
Let's see what somebody said here. Oh, CJ Sleuth says you two are a perfect crime fighting duo.
Awesome.
Just awesome. Okay, let's see what else you guys are. Do you guys have any questions? that everybody's loving it right now. And
Awesome.
give Noor some love. Hit the like button as well. And if you haven't subscribed, go subscribe to her channel. Subscribe to mine too if you haven't subscribed.
Yes,
we have lots of good stuff.
To Linda, although I'm pretty sure you already are.
There's new people in here, Noor. There's new people. 2,600 people. They're just going, what's this all about? What's going on?
Yeah.
Oh, good. There. Oh, thank you. You guys put her link in there. Thank you for Four Sons Mom. Thank you so much. And they want you to come back. So we'll have to have another night where you come back.
Have me. I would be honored. Thank you.
Now, Brenda wants to know, and this might be something for you to answer, is what do you think about Jason Mao?
Okay, well, I don't know. I go back and forth with him. So at first, he's mentioned a few times. The first time he was on my radar was when Lori mentioned their police friend Jason, when they were in the police station talking about Charles Vallow, and her and Melanie Gibb. Oh, is that Jason, our police friend? And then they go on this whole thing about how his like hamstring fell off his leg and some heroic thing.
Got injured, right?
Blah, blah, blah. Amazing. Then when I did I joined a vow thing, he was on there in a major way. He is a lot of them are under Chad's publishing company. So Chad, because he couldn't get his book published for obvious reasons, he did it himself. So he started his own publishing company and he published his books. Jason Mao has like a warrior ethos thing. So he's a veteran, and that's his background. And then he also has the religious aspect combined with the doomsday prepper thing. So his whole concept is about, warrioring up, like how Melanie Gibb's podcast is. That's the whole concept. So I found about him then I did some research and I put it in a video where I talk about how he had some issues he worked as a police officer and he was discharged because he didn't have good work ethic. His police reports were not up to the standard they should have been. He was caught sleeping on the job one time when he was supposed to be providing security for another officer. So, and then I think he sued the city or a department. There's something that he did there. And then there's a movie, a really creepy movie that has really strange parallels to what happened to the children that he provided security for. And also he did I have it in my video where there's a segment he talks about the kids in the scenes. And then he was kind of providing the security, not security, but consulting about things to do with the weaponry and being the safety on set. So
what was that movie called again? Because I remember it was people would put that in there. You guys remember what it was?
I can't remember it off the top of my head.
Yeah, they'll put it in.
And but the part that then I heard that, and this is, I don't know how true this is. This is a Facebook. It was a thread on Reddit or in a Facebook group. So take it with a grain of salt. But they do say that he was there in Rexburg when the children were killed in September, that he had some sort of course in BYU, and that on Facebook he mentioned or he checked in as being there. So those are all the things that I know about him and that could be somewhat suspicious. But also, speaking of Jason Mao, Thor is now on my radar a little bit more than before because he's the same. He's part of a vow. He's part of the podcasts. He's an author as well. And Lori mentioned him when she goes, I need my friend, my people, Thor and them. And then she says it in the audio recording again recently. She references Thor. If you go on a vow, you'll see that he's one of the main people that was speaking. He's a well-known member. He has even a different avatar. So they're all part of Thor, Jason, Melanie Gibb, and Chad are all doomsday authors of this movement. And so I don't know if that's as far as it goes. It could just be that. It could be more sinister. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to kind of climb into. And somebody else actually has a question too. They said, Fleur de Bee Design says, love you both. Have followed you both from the start of this mess. Wondering what, if any, updates we have on Zulema.
No, I don't have anything new from my video. She's so hard to find stuff on. I don't know if I'm just not figuring it out or other people are just easier to find, but I was pulling teeth for that video. to
maybe
find stuff.
more locked down, like you said, because maybe in the beginning, I feel like I remember seeing some stuff about her ex-husband saying that, you know, Zulema's a little crazy, you know, these kinds of things. I know she controls the elements or says so, you know, but I don't know if any updates. The only update I heard last was because they thought, where was she from? She's from Chile? Was it Chile? Where was she from? Argentina?
I'm not sure. I don't know the exact country. I can't think of it off the
country, but she wasn't. She was still in America. But there was rumor that she was, but she wasn't. Chef Betsy says, I think my message didn't take on my previous super chat. No, I didn't see it. So, hey, Angela Lansbury Jr. She calls me Angela Lansbury Jr. Oh, she's like, sometimes I'm just going to say ALJ. Thank you.
I love it.
Okay, so let's see. Penny Sue says, love you, Noor. One of your first subscribers. Very good deep dive. She does do very good deep
Penny,
dive.
hi, Penny. Thank you so much. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, and
it's so crazy. Those people here. It's so weird.
I know. Everybody's like, you got to have Noor on. I was like, this was a while ago. And I'm going to. I really haven't done many collabs on my channel, really. Like, so I think I've only done one or two before this. Maybe one. Yeah. So, I mean, so it's good. It's lots of fun. I hope you come on again. We can have lots of fun. Well, I'm sure we'll have more to speak about very, very soon. Oh, people are saying it's called Speak No Evil. Speak No Evil?
Oh, yes. I knew there was evil in it. That sounds right. That sounds about right.
Okay. So we are going to go a little bit longer and then not too long because, you know, our butts are going to be numb pretty quick. Mine is.
Mine is already there. It's okay.
Yeah.
I haven't felt
that for a little bit and then, but a little bit longer. And then. All right, let's see. Natasha says, proud of you both. Grateful for this live chat. We are grateful for everybody hanging out with us. All 2,500 hanging out on a Sunday night. This is awesome. I know. It's lots of fun. So fun. I love community. I love hanging out. I love meeting people and chatting, and it's great.
Can I just say the true crime community has been so welcoming, and I appreciate, like, I couldn't have chosen a better community on YouTube. You hear so much about drama, and I feel like there's enough drama in the cases we cover. There's no room for drama with the actual YouTubers.
Yes,
we're good. So yes, I just love the community. It's amazing.
No, it's great. It's great. We have high vibing people over here, and the other ones who aren't so high vibing can go somewhere else.
They're everywhere.
I see Ray Maloney gave a super chat there, and I can't find you to highlight you, but I see you, so thank you. Okay, let's see who else here. Yeah, you got. They're just why Chad's kids, yeah, why Chad's kids aren't coming forward besides
Gabe. That's a tough one to come against your father.
I think I don't know. I think you go ahead on this.
Some people find them suspicious, but I don't know. I've heard all kind of weird things, but I don't even know if I want to go there.
I don't really want to either. I think there could be all kinds of reasons why not being told. And, you know, we've seen one of the daughters sticking out her tongue and all that to the cameras, you know, but she could be just fed up of that.
And she didn't know about the kids at that time. So maybe she thought they were just crazy lies. You know, her father probably said they were out to get him. So yeah. I mean, there's so much, right? There's so much. Okay. Maybe. Okay, hang on here. There's so many. See, it just kind of keeps going and going and going. Yeah, I'm like, how do you do this?
I don't know. Sometimes I try and slow down the chat a little bit because it goes by so fast. And I would love to have like somebody behind the scenes where I just focus on you and we could just chat and then, you know, just these comments pop up. But, you know,
one woman show over there.
Like you are, you know how it is. Like your research and then you're doing, we talked a little bit about that too, right? Your research and then you're trying to figure out what topic to do, what to put in the video, what not to put in the video, editing, and, and then thumbnails and all this other stuff. So sometimes people see this 20, 30-minute video, but it takes a whole lot longer. What do you find is the most challenging thing that you're finding on your channel, just, doing this?
I think, aside from technical stuff, it's hard to know when to bring in a new case and when to just stay focused on one case, and then you get requests, and it's like you can't say one case is more important than the other, but at the same time, if people are invested in something and they want more of it, so I guess my thing, and then you see certain people are interested in certain cases and not in others, and so it's hard to know what to focus on in every video, and I'm still learning, and I think that's pretty challenging in terms of the technical aspect. Researching for sure, because at least for me, I don't know if anybody else is like that, but it's hard to know when to stop. It's hard to know when you've done enough, and then I can't even watch my videos back, because every video that I've tried to watch back, I'm like, oh God, you should have fallen down that rabbit hole, or you didn't cover that enough, or it's just hard to know when enough is enough. And
you can go down a big rabbit hole, and it could take hours. It could be hours.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you got to go like, okay, well, when do I actually make the video and put it out? You know what I mean? And I feel a lot of pressure to pump out content, because I feel like my schedule once a week is not the typical schedule. I think people are more frequent. So I struggle with that a little bit.
I think a lot of us on this platform puts extra pressure on ourselves. I think we do that just naturally, and we have to find a balance, because a lot of my viewers know this. I'm still learning how to find balance, and I'm still trying to figure out I have the same things, the same questions you do. Where is it that we draw the line? Where is it that, when's enough research? Like, when's that enough? Why am I putting this in, like, how long? And one of the things that I do is, when I do a video, I don't say it's going to be 20 minutes. It's going to be as long as I want it to be. Like, it's where I'm done. Okay, this is the topic. This is where I talk about. If it's going to be 40 minutes, it's going to be 40 minutes. I think in general, it's like, for me, I guide myself. Like, does this still bother me? Yeah, this is still bothering me. I still need to look into this. And sometimes I just fill it out and just brain dump at nighttime, because sometimes otherwise, I don't know if you get this, but I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, I got to figure this out,
Yeah, I have a little note here of like things I thought of or whatever on my phone. And it's true, but I think you're right about not putting the pressure on ourselves and figuring it out. And I've noticed that I've been slipping on my private life, with my husband, and, it's the holidays. And so, like, usually I'd have a video up this week, but I knew that I was going live with you, and I have the holidays. And so I said, you know what, I'm not going to upload this week. My live with Linda will be my video. And I'm mad at myself for that still a little bit. But then when I do make the video, I feel bad about not hanging out with my family. So it's hard. Yeah. You're always going to be hard on yourself, whichever way you go.
Yeah, I think just scheduling. I think one of the things, I was talking to my members in my membership, and we were having a little conversation about me getting this thing called Passion Planner, and it literally is like, it's like planning out. It's like a planner, but you get to be artsy on it. And I'm a little bit artsy fartsy as well. So for me, I haven't done that in so long. I think that would help me, chill out and do some planning and plan this, plan that, because it's hard. It really is hard. People think a 20-minute video is just like, well, it's not a big deal. It's like 20 minutes, but it's not. And especially in true crime, you got to get it right? You got to get the facts right. And when we say it's our opinion, it's our opinion. So same thing, I'm trying to find that balance. And sometimes I have to let go, because in the beginning, I was doing a video every single day. I think I did it for, I don't know, like 100 days straight or 6 months straight every day.
Oh my God.
I don't even know. I still don't even know now. I'm like, how did I even do that? then I started deep diving, and there's no way, like my deep dives are like 3 days of research, and then, and it's constant. So I still got to figure out, I could tweak. I have no idea. I would love to get more out. And sometimes we just got to remember to be gentle on ourselves, because I think sometimes we put that added pressure and people are like, it's no big deal. Like, it's okay. Just take a little breath, and you're going,
right? It's a lot of us putting it on ourselves. I agree.
Yeah. It's hard. It really is. And I think it's part of a lot of the YouTubers, a lot of them. That's why they burn out. It's easy to burn out, right? And and I got to take the same advice. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get this passion planner, and I put it out and like literally plan out when I breathe, when I'm doing meditation at this time.
Time management. You're so right. It's so much about time management. I've noticed the more I try to structure it, my days, that way I feel like, okay, I'm setting time for this, that, and the other. I'm able to touch on everything.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, what I told myself is, listen, if you're proud of the video,
yes,
put it out. If don't just pump stuff out to pump stuff out. Not only will it make my content something I'm not proud of, but then the burnout is real. I don't want to burn this. I want to maintain the passion that I have, and not feel like this becomes a chore, because that's going to translate on camera. I'm not going to research as good. It's just going to turn into this thing.
And that's exactly,
I don't want that.
It's quality over quantity. And I think too, because we love research, that it's easy to be like, holy crap, 4 hours just went by. And I was like, I thought I just started. It only feels like a half an hour. How did I got to go eat lunch, right? So I think these little things we got to be mindful of taking care of ourselves, and, and that kind of thing. And just planning things out. One of the things I said to my husband is like his rotation, actually, side note, I'll tell you in a minute. Mr. Linda actually hurt himself pretty bad yesterday. And I had to take him to the emergency because he went to go move the couch. Okay, so let's back up. January of last year, he was in his ambulance and he was in a horrific accident. Like horrific. This kid was driving, wanted to thread the needle, like try and pass, and clipped the ambulance and flipped up in the air and went through, like hit the windshield of the ambulance, and then flipped over the ambulance and landed on its roof. Okay. Kids were fine in the car. They lived and totally fine, like just scratches, amazingly. Even my husband's like, how did they even get out of the car? And the ambulance, their airbags did not deploy because the car hit the corner of the ambulance and flipped up and didn't hit the front, and hit the window, went over. So my husband hurt his right arm, and he was on light duties from January to September. He just went back to work. So yesterday I get this phone call, and I had to go zip to go get some stuff, a couple things. And I get this phone call, and he's like, you need to come home. Are you okay? Like, he's like, no, I severely hurt my arm. The same arm? Nope. The other. So he went to go move a couch, I guess. He said the sofa just to vacuum or something, and he heard a pop, heard an extreme pop. Yeah. And so, oh my gosh. So took him into emergency, like, well, I think I might have to go to surgery. I'm like, are you going tonight? Like, are you going tonight? Like, are you going, what? Right. And then they end up saying, no, so he's going to have to do an ultrasound and then possibly surgery. I don't know if it's this week, like, we don't know. And so it's just this always crazy, I don't even know where I was going. Yeah. Anyway, so he's so it's just like
management. I hope he has a speedy recoveries.
Yeah. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, is this your other one? Like, what just happened? And so it snapped, the tendon snapped off his arm. And so now he looks like Popeye. He has a huge bicep because it popped off and like is bunched up. Like it's like a bunched ball. And they call it Popeye syndrome because like it's not attached. So anyway, it's just crazy. So these things happen and our schedules get all upside down. And so what I was going to go with this is usually my husband has an 8-day rotation rather than a 7-day. So it's abnormal as it is. And so now he's like, well, I guess I'll be home a lot more, but adapting to these things and adapting to, because sometimes things fly and we get news on, something happening, the kid's being found, and then all of a sudden we're scrambling and we're getting on. And so it's just constantly changing, but I think it's easy to forget about ourselves a little bit. And, we're passionate about this, we're passionate about research, and we're passionate about people. And then sometimes we just got to have that reminder to be like, okay, today's breathing, and I'm going to go drink some water. And, because it's easy to go down the rabbit hole, right?
Yeah.
Vicky says, we love you, Noor. With a little
thank you so much. I love you guys too. Thank you.
Marla says, love you, Linda. Keep up the great content. I'm so glad. If you guys are having a great time here tonight, just let us know, like put heck yeah in the comments, and let Noor know too. She just done an amazing job tonight on her first time. And I have a feeling this is our last time. This is not our last time chatting.
No, I don't think so. I feel like we just flow so well together.
Yeah. Yeah, we think very similar, and we do our research skills, I think, are very similar too as well. You've dove in a different area, but I think we're very similar in how we pull things and how we're like, no. How about no? So everybody's giving good wishes to Mr. Linda. That'll make him feel better.
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, so he's man, it's been a rough go. Yeah, it's been a year for him.
Does it hurt him all the time? Is it like constantly in pain, or does it like get activated, the pain? Or is it constant?
He's like, I heard a pop. Like I legit heard a pop and a snap and a crackle. I'm like, snap, crackle, and pop. And he's like,
Rice Krispies?
Yeah.
Rice Krispies?
Like Rice Krispies. It's so weird. And it's like the weirdest thing is I do, like, it just came out of nowhere. It was like, I've done this hundreds of times. It's not a big deal. And I'm laughing because I'm actually older than him. Okay, I'm 4 years older than him. I was like, what's going on here? What's going on? Like, I don't have any history, knock on wood, but it was like, and then the same arm. Then I'm teasing him like, it'd probably be better if it was the same arm rather than the other arm.
Completely out of commission, right?
Because the one arm wasn't that great. I mean, it's healed, but not, it's not. Because it snapped on the bottom last year, snapped on the bottom and went up. And so this one snapped on the top. And we're like, what are you doing? You're younger than me. You're supposed to be spry. What are you going to do in 20? But you have to get surgery. Otherwise, you don't have 20% you lose 20% of your strength. So anyway, like, when are you going into surgery? Oh my,
I mean, at least you guys have like, healthcare over there. So that's nice.
Yeah, it's a little different. However, some weights are like, because it's free healthcare, it's like some weights to get into a specialist, like you could wait a year or 2.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's kind of 6 of 1, but
it's not all perfect. Okay.
About, it's free. Let's, it's free. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, pros and cons either way you go, I guess.
It is. Okay. Let me see here. What everybody's saying. Very fun listening to you ladies. I hope you go live together often. I thought it said I hope you live together. I was like, what?
I'm like, wait, you're not that close.
Oh, Slam Rent says, is your husband tall and lanky? No, he's the complete opposite. I'm actually I'm 5 feet tall, and my hubby, he says he's 5'6", but he's not. He's shorter in stature as well. I won't tell the real height, but when I met him, he's like, yeah, I'm 5'6". I'm like, no, you're not. But anyways, he's not tall and lanky. He's actually short and built, but apparently, I don't know what happened to him. So
it's a fluke.
Oh, Noor says, Noor, who is driving the dune buggy in your intro?
Who is driving the dune buggy? My husband.
And was in that video, I saw that video. Were you driving the dune buggy too at one point?
I'm not sure if it's in the video, but I have driven it before. I'm not sure which clip you're referring to, but it's possible. I don't drive it as much as he does, but I do, dabble.
Okay, bucket list item. We got to talk about this. My bucket list item is actually to do that in the sand dunes in the States. That's one.
Hello. I live in the desert. You need to come here and you can use ours and go in the desert. We have dunes all around.
Okay.
Oh my God. You could totally check that off your bucket list.
That's my bucket list item.
If you're ever in California, let me know.
I lived in California once, years and years ago. Yeah, I was young and I just got in my car and decided to go down and and I lived there for a bit. And I was very young. I think I was 23 years old. Oh my gosh. But yeah, that a bucket list item is that actually for one of my major birthdays, 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, we went to Sedona, and I rented one of those slingshots, and we went.
Ooh.
Oh, those were so fun. And I was like, no, you can't drive. It's my birthday. I'm driving first, to say this to my husband, right? Then you can drive. And we did that and hiking and went on that. But the dune buggies legit is on my bucket list. And
So much fun.
And a bucket list item is, if I'm tall enough, I want to drive a race car in Vegas. So that's what it's like the weirdest things.
Oh my God, this is so crazy. I feel like we would get along so well, because not a few years ago, for my husband's birthday, I got him one of those experience things in Las Vegas where he got to drive like those race car things. And he, like, it was a full thing. And I filmed him and he did so well. And he rewatched the footage of him driving like way too many times. Like, it got to a point I was like, you can't keep watching the footage, Marcus. You can't keep watching it's weird. You've watched it too many times, but he just was like, it's such an adrenaline rush. So yeah, oh my God, they do that in Vegas. I feel like we really get along.
What's one of your bucket list items?
Man, I have a lot of them. I know that I really want to travel to certain places. Like, I really want to go to Tokyo. I was just talking about it with my friend. They sent me this video. It's just this weird thing. I don't know what it is about Tokyo. I just want to go and cross in that crazy intersection and then like go to a karaoke bar. I don't know why. It's just so weird, but I've never been, and it's kind of close to California. And hopefully one day, if I'm like, we can travel again and everything's back to normal.
Yeah, and go there. Isn't that interesting?
I like traveling.
Me too. Love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fascinated with bucket list. Like, people, there's stuff on their list. I don't know what it is. I love to hear about what people's things are. I find it super neat. I guess some people might not even know that about me. Is one of the things is I really love that. So it's like, ooh, what's yours? So
yeah,
Tokyo.
I've never had anyone ask me that. That's why I was like, wait, what is? I'll probably think of something way cooler in the bed, like right before bed.
Oh, I should have said this on Linda's channel.
Oh, Tokyo. What was I thinking?
No, I can see the dune buggy things today, and I was like, oh, no. So
yeah, we're outdoorsy.
I love it. I mean, I'm in Canada. It's freezing. Right now it's warmed up a little bit. The snow actually melted a bit, but it legit gets to -40, which is like, basically, don't go outside because something's going to freeze off you, and it's just not fun.
I can't imagine. I'm so spoiled here in California.
Oh, people want to. Okay, let's see. Lots of UFOs in Sedona. That's funny. I actually was seeing some stuff there. Oh, they want to know what our signs are, what month you were born in.
Oh, I'm a Virgo. I mean, I could go into like rising and moon sign, but that might scare you guys off because my mother is like obsessed with stuff.
Really?
My mother is obsessed with, oh my God. Anytime I tell her a new friend about it, she'll be like, well, what's their sign? But I'm a Virgo.
I'm an Aries.
Oh, okay. That kind of makes sense. You do seem like an Aries. I know. I say that to everybody. Anytime someone tells me their sign, I'm like, oh, you're such that sign. They're like, what do you mean?
Sharon says, Linda, go to dune buggy at Florence, Oregon. Yeah, that's where I in Oregon, I heard of lots of sand dunes there.
Yeah. I've been there. It's so much fun. Oh, yeah. I've been there. Oh man, so much fun. Highly recommend Oregon.
Everybody's calling us Lindor.
Oh my God, like the chocolate.
Yeah,
Lindor. I love it.
Maybe we could do that. Maybe one day we'll go down and we could do the dune buggies together, and we'll be like a bucket list fun. When I can travel, when we travel.
Yeah, I know, right. One of these, maybe in 2025. Sounds like a great idea.
Oh, they want to know, are you into DNA like I am? Because I'm crazy about DNA.
Oh, probably not like you are, but I'm interested in DNA. I mean, generally, I guess, but I'm not into it probably like you are. I don't think so.
Yeah, I've been
Not even
doing
close.
genealogy for a few years, and I'm connecting
Oh,
dots
you
with
mean
people.
DNA like genetics or like
Yeah.
in crime cases?
Oh, that
Yeah,
too.
I've done. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's interesting. It's so funny because I did the 23andMe. My husband did it too. And I told my brother about it because I was like, "Do you want for the holidays as a gift?" And he went on this whole
Oh,
rant
I would
about
know.
how it's a scam and da da. And he went on, and they're mining your information. They're going to sell you medical care. Like he went on a whole thing. And I was like, "I'm sorry I asked. I'll get you something else."
Public business.
So I mean, I think it's cool. I'm interested. I did it. My husband did it. I think some other people in our family do it. I think it's really cool. I don't know if there are issues with that ethically or whatever, but
I love it. I've been working with one of my cousins who we found we're cousins through DNA, but she's adopted and she didn't know who her family was. So I've been connecting the dots on that and helping her, and we've narrowed it quite down.
that's awesome.
It's fascinating to me, and I don't know, I just gain more family, and I don't know, it's
Yeah.
just super cool. And I love the concept of solving crimes through DNA as well with CC Moore and that. I think it's
Yeah.
fascinating. They're starting to solve 20, 30-year-old cases going, and she takes the DNA and she takes the information and she finds the trees. And there's one case where she actually narrowed it down to two brothers. And then they went and questioned them and then found the guy that was the perpetrator. It was
That's awesome.
that was fascinating. So people know I'm crazy into into DNA as well. So, all right, we have a few more minutes before we go. Everybody's loving it. Let's see what else. Do you see when you want to point? You can point one out too if you would like, and I'll just.
Okay.
Oh, except for while you're looking, Mr. I think Mr. Linda is on. There he is.
Oh. I hope he's doing well.
Oh, he was talking about the Sedona. We just went to a parking lot and looked at the mountain above Jerome and saw a few lights moving around through the night vision. Oh yeah, because we we went hiking in the morning. Then we went to do the slingshot, and we went to Jerome, just near Sedona. And then we came back, and I had to stop at the chocolate shop because you can't not go to a chocolate shop on your birthday. Gotta do chocolate. What? We did that, and then we went out for dinner, and then we went to this crazy UFO kind of woman's like,
I love that.
See the UFO, and she did a tour, but she was like, so weird. Usually I have a lot of people. It's just you tonight. We're like, okay, this is weird. But we went out with binoculars, and we had binoculars and night vision glasses, and they were showing us all kinds of movement, and it was pretty crazy, but it was a great time. I loved Sedona so much. And we went hiking.
Ooh, that's a item.
It was amazing. And this guy was on top of the hike, like when we were hiking, and on top of a mountain, and he was playing like a flute, and he's like, this song is for peace. This song is for community. And he would just be like that. And you can hear him plain as day from top, and he'd be playing this flute. It's like a magic flute, So the way
it's like out of a smooth.
Yeah, and he comes down and he hands me, and it's the day of my birthday, right? And it was a big birthday for me, 30. No, just joking. But he's like, I put out my hand. He's like, put out your hand. And he gave me this rock that was the red rock, but it was in a heart. And I just looked up at him like, today's my birthday too. And he gives me this rock and says this whole thing. And then we just hiked, and it was just such an incredible time. And what a great birthday.
What a magical moment.
I wasn't going to stay here. I'm like, I'm not staying here for a big birthday like that. Let's go. We're going to go. And
right.
Kind of last place we kind of went, I think, at this point. Did you look at all?
Let me see.
You could read it out.
You guys should do another live.
You see?
Okay. Lori, I can't help
Okay, I'm going to point one on while you're looking because somebody's saying it's like a slumber
because
party without the slumber.
right? It really, oh my God. What time is it over there where you're at? It's probably
At
like almost 10.
10 to 10. Yeah. We'll do about 10 more minutes and then we'll call her quits because holy crap, it's always been 3 hours. Okay, you guys should do a live for Suzanne. Recently, Tyson and Gonzo were in Colorado. That was awesome. Are you following the Suzanne Morphew case at all, Noor?
So kind of, yeah. I made a video about it very early in my channel when I had just started actually, and I remember it was kind of a train wreck of a video, if I'm being honest. I think I called him Brad in the first part of the video, and then later on I call him Barry, and it's just like a train wreck. Then I kind of like the case kind of slowed down, and then I got much more involved with Lori Vallow. And then I remember when I think it was her brother had funded that additional search that they were doing, like a private search. And then I remember I started following it then because I thought there could have been a development. And then I just ended up doing a post saying, they did the search, but they didn't find anything. And I've been keeping my eye on it a little bit, but I haven't been making videos on it because I just don't feel like I have enough to make a video on about it. But I'm definitely like aware. I watch your videos on it. I watch other people's videos on it. It's like on my radar, but a combination with how horribly my first video went and how little I know, I'm kind of like, they're going to be like, you're talking about this case, like kind of thing, but it's in my head. I'm still like,
we all have those videos. Like, I had one that I stick by what I said, but it was a horribly made video, and we all have that.
You gotta start somewhere, right? Yeah.
And I can see what you're saying, because sometimes it's like, well, I just don't know. And Lori Vallow, I waited a little bit too because it was a head scratcher. When you first are like, holy crap, where do I start? So it's kind of the same thing. So I go through the same thing, like, do I, don't I? And then I know to back off sometimes too, especially because some weird things happen in these cases, and you just kind of just need a little bit of a mental break, Sometimes
you do. And you see it with fresh eyes after a while, and then you see it differently too.
Yeah, Patty and Pig, thank you so much. Give us a sticker, a super sticker. Anything else, you guys? Before we call it a night, pretty quick here.
Is Noor on Instagram? Yeah, I just started one.
Okay, there you go.
It's just Noor Jasmine 7. It's mostly dog content.
It's awesome. What
It'll
else?
catch up in no time. It's different when you deep dive.
Oh, what do you think about Lori's Kool-Aid lipstick? And Shelby starts laughing.
Well, it's a look.
I think that just goes to what we were saying earlier, right? About
her vanity. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that, it's kind of interesting because she doesn't look like she used to anymore. She doesn't have all her, all the zhuzhing, and it's like she's stripped down, and you're just kind of seeing her for, what she is. And it's humbling, I would imagine.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't be a good feeling if that's kind of what and then you're in front of the world. You'd want to try and find anything you can to make yourself feel better, and along with the signature smirk. I can't even like that.
Yeah, right.
Nancy says the best 3 hours with you two ladies I've had in a long time. I'm so glad you guys are enjoying it.
I like how well received this is. I was kind of like afraid that they'd be like, what are you doing bringing this kook on your channel?
No, I just so appreciate you and your research and your quirkiness. I love all of that. And so that's just one thing, is like, you do you, right? Like, don't let anybody tell you any different, because it's hard. I know it's hard. We all get it. Everybody, all the YouTubers get something. They hear stuff about how we look, or they say stuff about how we look, or how we're acting, or how our videos are, and why can't you do this, and why can't you do that? But at the end of the day, if you're not you, then that comes through. So you just do you, and I do me, and everybody else does that. And
mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, and lead with your gut in a lot of it too. If you're like, it's time to put this down, then put it down. Just, sometimes we punch through and then we're like, I shouldn't have done that.
Right. Totally. It's be humble enough to know if something isn't working, type of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. We have one more here. I see you, Boise boss. Noor, what part of California desert are you in? Have you heard about Eric Lloyd missing in Joshua Tree area? Very strange case.
No,
I
I don't know if I want to say exactly where I am, but I have not heard of the California desert. That's it. Hope you can understand that, Boise boys. I have not heard of that case, but I should probably, let me add it to my little note that I have here. 1 second. Because that does sound interesting. I've heard of Joshua Tree is very popular. I kind of want to go there. But I don't live in Joshua Tree, so I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Eric Lloyd.
I haven't heard of that. I don't think I've heard of that either.
It's so many cases, it's hard. You want to give everyone a voice.
That's the other thing I find, maybe you would agree to, is like you have these requests or there's something that you want to do, and then how do you pick and choose? And, because some things you don't want to forget about either. Like, would you agree this? Like, what do you do when you pick cases? Is it something that you just have to relate with something like, ooh, I got to do something? Or
yeah, so at first I was just doing like recent things because I thought that would be something people are more interested in. But then I realized that I don't have the time to be like a breaking news kind of channel. If I have something like that at the time and I can report it to you, I will, but I can't make that my bread and butter. It just doesn't fit with my schedule. I do work a regular normal job, and I have a family and whatever. So what I rather do is, if I feel like I have something to contribute, I will focus on that case. I do have a background in researching. I worked as a researcher for the Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce. So if I feel like, there's something here, I'm interested in it, I think I could find something, uncover something. If I research it, I'll pick that case. I also have a affinity. I don't know if that's the right word, but I'm fascinated with just weird, bizarre things as well. Not just any true crime case. There's always a weird element to it that catches my attention. I mean, look at me, okay? I like weird. So if I see weird thing, it's something odd, off, strange, it piques my interest, and then I look into it more. And then I go, but I agree. Like, I have cases that I've done one video on. Yeah. And I'll go back and I'll search that name every so often if I think of it or remember it, to see if there are updates. So I do like to update a case. I don't like to just leave it open-ended if there is an update.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my method.
I totally get what you're saying. Somebody's asking if we saw have either of you watched the new Unsolved Mysteries?
I don't watch anything but YouTube. It's really pathetic, but I literally only watch YouTube. I haven't had time for Netflix. I've heard of it. I watched people's YouTube videos on the Unsolved Mysteries.
There you go. See, so you did in essence watch it. I've watched the Unsolved Mysteries. I saw there's one that I still sticking on, is Ray Rivera's case. It's very interesting, and there's actually, so for me, I like codes and stuff. Like obviously you might know that. And there's something that I took a crack at the code that's in Unsolved Mysteries, and I'm almost there. I think, in my opinion, that I'm almost there. So I would like to do that from Unsolved Mysteries. The first season that just came, or there's a new season that just came out, not as good. But
people are saying that. A lot of people are saying that the new season is not as good. I'm just hearing people talk about it.
Yeah, I shouldn't say not as good. I mean, in a way, because it's important cases, but maybe it's the way it was presented. It's just like a little bit more weird. Whereas the first season was like, this is really good. So, and it's helping people. These cases are being reopened, and so yeah, Ray Rivera is something that really stuck with me. So I would like to do a video in my free time. Because I have a list.
Right? Good luck with that.
So, all right. Yeah. Ray Rivera's case is so odd. I agree.
What's
What's
with the foil?
TB? All right, we have 2 more minutes. Oh, are you guys talking about Echo Lloyd? So I actually talked today to Echo's daughter. So there will be a video on Echo Lloyd. That's going to come right away. Again, you guys know how I outline my videos, so it will be I'm going to try and do it thoroughly, I guess, as much as I can. Becky says, my 2 favorite crime-fighting ladies, the dynamic duo of... I was like, blah, blah, blah.
You too. Wow.
Thank you. You guys are awesome. So
really and truly, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been a great night. People have been so awesome and hanging out and watching us, and it's just been such a great pleasure to have you on. You're gonna have to come on again, and we'll be chatting about all kinds of things too. And make sure you guys go check out Noor's channel as well, and check out her playlist, because she's done great work, and she's signed up to a vow just to find out and research. So she's gutsy, this girl, and she's finding stuff. And I think together we can find some little things together too, and do another collaboration, and we'll figure things out. So check her out. And Noor, after this is over, just hang tight on here. I'll end it, but just hang on tight, because we can have a little chat just after. Yeah, so make sure you check her out. Thank you so much to the moderators and all you guys for just keeping it classy in there, and just really being supportive, and sending lots of love to Noor. And we will see you guys. Well, I'll see you on the next video, and we'll see you soon.